Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. I'm in Naruto. Double package at the start. Chapter 1. Konoha Village. Inside a meatball shop. A 17-year-old young man was tasting the three-color meatballs. While he was enjoying the food, he inadvertently raised his head. Suddenly I saw Konoha's 41-year calendar hanging on the wall. Unconsciously, they have been in this world for 10 years. The young man's chewing movement slowed down, his expression lost in memory. His name is Baiyun Zhaojian, a traverser. And on the day of the crossing, the legendary system was awakened. Just when he thought smugly that he was about to reach the peak of his life. Suddenly, something happened that he hadn't expected. His system actually malfunctioned during the startup process, and then disappeared. He was still in the joy of gaining the system, and he was stunned on the spot. After all, he tried various methods in an attempt to restore the system. However, no matter how he praised the system, or greeted the 18th generation of its manufacturer, the system did not respond. Over time, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month passed. In the end, he had to tears and accepted the fact that the system hadn't been turned on yet and he was stillborn. Time flies, 10 years have passed. Over the past 10 years, he has experienced his parents and Coach Jonin one after another, and sacrificed in the execution of tasks. He also grew from the young man who had just traveled through and was full of excitement and curiosity about the world to a stable young man. In these years, except for occasional tasks, he spent the rest of his time practicing hard. But in this world of fighting father, fighting bloodline, fighting family, and even fighting teacher. Although he has worked very hard, but as a 4-no personnel, his strength stopped after reaching Jonin 2 years ago. As if already reached the shackles of the upper limit of his own strength. Ding, the fault is repaired and the system is restarting. Just when Baiyun Zhaojian fell into memory and wandered beyond the sky. A voice that had disappeared for 10 years rang out of his mind again. The sudden change caused Baiyun Zhaojian's head to crash instantly. But he reacted immediately. The system actually recovered. Baiyun Zhaojian couldn't believe it. Although I really have been thinking about this system for 10 years. But to be honest, I didn't have much hope for it a long time ago. Unexpectedly, it recovered at this moment. Call. Dog system. Don't fail again. Taking a deep breath, suppressing his uncontrollable excitement, Zhaojian folded his hands together and prayed silently. Although Jonin's strength, in the eyes of many people, is already very powerful. But he is a traverser. How to stop willingly at the level of Jonin? And he is familiar with the plot, but he knows how much his combat power will collapse in the later stages of Hokage. Don't talk about Jonin, or Elite Jonin. Even if it reaches the cage level, it's not enough for those few hang-ups. So the system that reappeared at this time is undoubtedly his best hope for heaven-defying to change his life. Time passed slowly in Baiyun Zhaojian's nervous and expectant mood. The progress bar for system startup is also slowly loading. Ding, the system has started up. Hello host, the strongest prestige system, I am glad to serve you. Until the sound of system startup completes and a transparent interface is displayed. Zhaojian's heart, hanging in the air, fell like a stone. The strongest prestige system. Hearing the name reported by the system, Zhaojian murmured unconsciously, feeling a little sore in his nose. It's been 10 years. It has been 10 years since I awakened the system. Until today, I did not know its name. This is really not easy. Secretly moved, Zhaojian then entered the topic. System, tell me about your functions. Okay, master. Upon hearing Zhaojian's question, the system began to introduce itself. Time goes by again. After about a quarter of an hour, the system introduction is complete. Zhaojian also understood the basic functions of this system. Simply put, this system currently has only 4 functions. They are personal panel, task panel, lottery panel, and system backpack. The role of the personal panel is to digitize your own strength so that you can understand yourself more clearly. The task panel, as the name suggests, is where the system issues tasks. The lottery panel is the most important function in this system and the only channel that can make you stronger. The last system backpack has the same function as a storage ring, but the difference is that it can only store items obtained in the system. By the way, is there a newbie package? As a traverser, Zhao Jian is no stranger to the routines of the system, so he asked directly. The newbie gift pack has been distributed to the system backpack, please open the backpack and check it by yourself. After the system answered Zhao Jian's question, he added. In addition, in view of the system malfunction, which delayed the startup time, I also specially distributed a compensation package to the owner. Please open the backpack and check it by yourself. Compensation package. Baiyun Zhao Jian is slightly happy. I didn't expect this system to be so conscientious. After the fault is restarted, there is actually a compensation mechanism. That said, I now have 2 gift packs. Open the system backpack. Baiyun Zhao Jian thought. The system panel suddenly switched to an interface similar to a game backpack. In the 2 grids in the first row of the interface, 2 gift packages distributed by the system are placed. Below the gift package, there are also respective information introductions. Novice gift pack. After using it, get a random reward. Compensation package. After use, get a random character data card. Open the novice package. Glancing at the message of the gift bag, Zhao Jian couldn't wait to speak. The sound falls. The novice gift bag suddenly glowed with a dazzling light. Ding! Congratulations to the master, for gaining the ability, Bullet Time. Close black lens bracket. The system announcement sounded, and a pair of bright eyes showed the position where the novice gift bag disappeared. Bullet Time. What is this ability? Hearing the name of the reward, Zhao Jian asked with some confusion. Bullet Time is a kind of super dynamic vision. During the activation of the ability, even the bullet in flight can be captured clearly. Close black lens bracket. Dynamic vision that can see even bullets. After listening to the systematic answer, Baiyun Zhao Jian was dumbfounded. As far as he knows, bullets are several times the speed of sound. If even the speed of sound can be captured, isn't it almost equivalent to time being still? Excuse me, do I need to blend bullet time? Close black lens bracket. Fusion. Knowing the ability, Zhao Jian replied without hesitation. Finished. The bullet time suddenly turned into a blue light and flew straight into Zhao Jian's eyes. Feeling cold in his eyes, Zhao Jian closed his eyes subconsciously. After a few breaths of time, when the coldness gradually disappeared, he slowly opened his eyes. The rays of light penetrated into the eyes, and everything in the field of vision seemed to have been cleaned. The whole world is exceptionally clear and bright. As this super dynamic vision, I feel that my eyesight has also improved a lot. Baiyun Zhao Jian was a little surprised, and turned to look at the street outside the meatball shop. At the moment he was concentrating, his vision seemed to be wide-angled. The whole world quieted down in an instant. Pedestrians walking on the street, like a snail being slowed down, are all still on the spot. He even saw the frequency of a fly fanning its wings next to a pool of water stains. Is this the power of bullet time? Looking at this picture that seemed to be static in time, Zhao Jian was amazed by the power of this ability. Just when he wanted to stand up, he suddenly realized that his body did not listen to his commands. The body's reaction can't keep up with the speed of consciousness. Thoughts radiated sharply in his brain, and Zhao Jian immediately knew his state at this time. Thoughts move. The moment when the ability is lifted. His body stood up after realizing it. Wow! The still picture was restored as before, and the noise of the pedestrians on the street came again. Sitting back in the chair, Zhao Jian suddenly noticed a pain in his eyes. System, there will be no sequelae to this ability, right? Rubbing his eyes, Zhao Jian asked worriedly. No sequelae. Close black lens bracket. The discomfort of the eyes is just the physiological reaction of the owner's first use of the ability. Close black lens bracket. I see. After hearing the systematic explanation, Zhao Jian completely let go of his heart. He is afraid of side effects like Mangekyo Sharingan, with sequelae of blindness. When the soreness of the eyes eased, Zhao Jian activated his power again. After repeated use, he not only overcomes the discomfort of sore eyes, but also controls the flow rate of bullet time. Open the compensation package. After experiencing the power of the system, Zhao Jian is also looking forward to the package of system compensation. Open black lens bracket. Ding. Congratulations, Master, get the Atomic Warrior data card. Close black lens bracket. The sound of the system sounded, and a card was displayed. Atomic Warrior. This name made Zhao Jian somewhat inexplicably familiar, and he raised his eyes to look at the card. A middle-aged uncle wearing a vintage samurai uniform with 2 samurai swords on his waist and a red cloak behind him slowly caught his eye. So it's this guy. Seeing the image of the character on the card, Zhao Jian remembered it instantly. And below the card, there is also the introduction of the character. Atomic Samurai. One Punch Man World Derivative Character, ranked 4th in the Heroes Association, S-rank hero. Occupation: Master of Kendo. Skills: Juhei Slash, Flying Sword. Stunt: Atomic Slash, Atomic Slash. Master: do I need to fuse the Atomic Warrior data card? Close black lens bracket. As soon as Zhao Jian finished reading the Atomic Warrior's message, the system's voice rang in due course. Fusion. Zhao Jian did not hesitate. He couldn't ask for anything that could enhance his strength. The voice just fell. The card of the Atomic Warrior suddenly turned into 1,000 lights and melted into Zhao Jian's body. Immediately afterwards, the Atomic Warrior's understanding and perception of Kendo, as well as the sword skills he developed, all were instilled into Baiyun Zhao Jian's mind. And his body is also undergoing certain changes quietly. Of course, this change is not a change in appearance, but the body's muscle memory for Kendo. It took about a quarter of an hour for the data cards to be integrated. This guy is so strong. Sure enough to be a sword master. After fusing the Atomic Warrior's data card, Zhao Jian clearly understood his strength. Don't even look at him being abused by the black sperm of the dragon-level weirdo, and he even became a world-famous painting. But that does not mean that his strength is not strong. A realm like Zhonggong is just a handy method in the hands of the Atomic Warrior. His defeat to the black sperm was also caused by underestimating his opponent and restraining his attributes. Boss, check out. Swallow the 3 color balls that have been chilled in the bowl quickly like jujubes. Zhao Jian put down 100 taels. The meatball shop came out without finding any zeros. Zhao Jian at this moment, although he is already aware of the swordsmanship of the Atomic Warrior, but he still wanted to find a place to personally experience the strength of the Kendo master. Open black lens bracket ding. The owner is respected by the owner of the meatball shop and gains 1 point of prestige. Close black lens bracket. Zhao Jian, who had left the meatball shop, was slightly surprised when he heard the system prompt. Unexpectedly, you can gain prestige in this way. Hokage Building. In Hokage's office, Namikaze Minato, who had just returned from the mission, was kneeling on one knee, reporting the content of the mission to Sarutobi Hiruzen. The above is the whole process of this mission. In a short while, Minato, who had finished the report, waited quietly for Sarutobi Hiruzen's instructions. But for a while, he didn't hear his voice. Minato raised his head with some doubts. I saw Sarutobi Hiruzen holding a pipe, in a daze with a sad face. Master 3rd Generation. Minato raised the volume slightly. This brought Sarutobi Hiruzen back to his senses. Oh, Minato. Sarutobi Hiruzen regained his senses, took a deep breath of the pipe and exhaled a long string of smoke. Did something happen? Minato asked strangely, wondering why Master 3rd Generation frowned. Hey, take a look at this. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed, tapped his finger on the desk, and motioned for Minato to come forward and watch. Hearing this, Minato got up and walked forward. I saw a ninja file sheet on Hokage's desk. Above the table is a photo of a white-haired teenager wearing a face mask. And below, is his personal ability and information. Hitaki Kakashi. After seeing the name of the table, Minato understood the reason for the distress of 3rd Generation. Although he hadn't seen Kakashi before, he knew the name slightly. It is said that he is a mission-first ninja. In the process of carrying out the mission, even if the companion is injured or besieged by the enemy, he would not care about the life and death of his companions, and preferred to perform tasks. So now Konoha Shinobi, almost no one wants to perform tasks with him anymore. Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed, put down his pipe, and said, Kakashi is a genius, there is no doubt about it. But for some reason, he was too strict with the rules. So no matter which team he is assigned to, he will arouse conflicts with his senior colleagues. This is the 17th time he has been complained by his companions. After speaking, Sarutobi Hiruzen took 2 more pipes. It seems that only it can make yourself less troubled. When the 3rd Generation project introduced Kakashi and mentioned the word, Genius, a figure flashed across Minato's head. That guy was called Baiyun Zhaojian, and he was also a genius. And he was still a ninja at the same time. But he doesn't seem to be very keen on the task. Otherwise, with his strength, it is estimated that he would have been promoted to Jonin just like himself. Thinking of Zhaojian, who is lazy, Minato is also a little angry. But Minato didn't know that he actually misunderstood Zhaojian. Zhaojian is not a genius at all, and there is no laziness. He can possess the strength of Jonin, completely because of the hard work of ordinary people. As for the reason why he didn't brush the mission and was not eager to get promoted to Jonin, it's just that I don't want to get into the sight of high-level people prematurely before they don't have the ability to protect themselves. After all, as a traverser, he knows very well that Konoha is not as beautiful as it seems, and there are many unknown shadows in the dark. Minato looked at Kakashi's file list on the table, suddenly a flash of inspiration. Secret Road. Since Kakashi and Zhaojian have two personalities, one stubborn task takes priority, but the other has no enthusiasm for tasks. Then why not put the two together to form a team and let them neutralize each other's character? The more Minato thought about it, the more he felt that this was a feasible solution. So he proposed to Sarutobi Hiruzen, Master Third Generation. Since Kakashi is so obsessed with the task, why not assign him to someone with the opposite personality to lead the team? A person who is the opposite of Kakashi. Hearing Minato's suggestion, Sarutobi Hiruzen thought about it in his head. But I wanted to break my scalp, and I didn't think that Jonin and Kakashi had the opposite personalities. So he wondered, who is this person you are talking about? Baiyun Zhaojian, Minato answered with a serious face. Baiyun Zhaojian. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought about it for a moment before he knew who Minato was talking about. Isn't he Chunin? Sarutobi Hiruzen is a little strange, don't understand why Minato recommends a Chunin who is not even qualified to lead the team. Yes, Minato nodded and said, although his rank is only Chunin, his strength has already reached Jonin. He is fully capable of Jonin and fulfilling Jonin's responsibilities. You sure? Hearing Minato's words, Sarutobi Hiruzen was a little surprised. Because as the shadow of a village, he didn't know that Baiyun Zhaojian had the power of Jonin. Yes, Minato confirmed. I performed a mission with him 2 years ago, and we had a lot of discussions on the way. If you don't use Flying Thunder God, I'm not sure of winning him. 2 years ago. Hearing what Minato said, Sarutobi Hiruzen was shocked. Minato is one of the most talented ninjas he has ever seen. His talent is even stronger than his 3 disciples. Even if it was Minato 2 years ago, his strength is not ordinary Jonin. And Baiyun Zhaojian, who made Minato use Flying Thunder God to be sure of victory, also reached Jonin 2 years ago. 2 years ago. He is just like Minato, only 15 or 6 years old. At the age of 15 or 16, he has the strength of Jonin, and he is definitely a genius. But after the shock, Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned again. Since he has such a talent, why has his reputation not been obvious? Are you deliberately hiding your strength? But why should he hide his strength? After thinking for a while, Sarutobi Hiruzen still had no clue, and said to Minato, since you recommended Baiyun Zhaojian, then you go and call him over. If he is exactly what you said, then he is undoubtedly a genius. If you give Kakashi to him, it won't bury Kakashi's talent. Yes. After receiving the order, Minato bowed and retired. Opening the door of Hokage's office, he also met Shimura Danzo, one of the elders. Out of politeness, Minato saluted again, then turned and left. I heard. Danzo walked into Hokage's office without knocking, and grumbled to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Minato is also true. Since there are such talents in the village, it should be reported as soon as possible. Sarutobi Hiruzen did not respond to Danzo's words, but instead ordered in the shadows. Go and transfer Baiyun Zhaojian's files. Yes. In the dark corner, there was a reply. A figure with a mask emerged from the darkness. After a while, a file was placed on Sarutobi Hiruzen's desk. Baiyun Zhaojian. Konoha was born in 24 years. He graduated from the ninja school at the age of 10, and his parents died in the mission in the same year. Promoted to Chunin at the age of 13. At the age of 14, he was attacked by an enemy when he was on a mission and guided Jonin to his death. Currently, he is 18 years old. Chakra attributes. Wind. Number of missions performed. 43 times for level D, 45 times for level C, 36 times for level B, 3 times for level A. After reading Baiyun Zhaojian's file information, Sarutobi Hiruzen's brows frowned. A ninja who has graduated from a ninja school for nearly 8 years has only performed such a task. This task amount is less than 1/3 of Minato graduated in the same period. What's more suspicious about the file is that Baiyun Zhaojian's mission has been drastically reduced. It started after guiding Jonin's death. Since then, his information has been scarce. Finding that Sarutobi Hiruzen looked ill, Danzo also leaned to the table and watched. Before long, Danzo's sarcastic voice rang from Hokage's office. Asterisk. The system that had disappeared for 10 years has returned, and it also comes with 2 powerful gift packs. Zhaojian at this time can be said to be refreshing. After returning home from the meatball shop, he took out his ninja sword. He is about to find a hidden place to experience the strength of the kendo master. Unexpectedly, just out of the house, a figure jumped down from the roof opposite, and landed in front of him. Minato. Zhaojian was a little surprised, because Minato was clearly directed at him. Zhaojian, I have an errand for you, come with me to see Master Third Generation. Errand. Zhaojian don't open Minato to pull his hand, and asked with a puzzled face, what's the errand? What's the matter? See what Zhaojian looks like breaking the casserole and asking the end. Minato was helpless, so he had to tell all the things in Hokage's office building. Zhaojian gave Nick Young's question mark face. You think I'm lazy and afraid that I'm wasting my talent, so you recommend me to Lord Hokage. Isn't it? Minato said righteously. If it weren't for you to be lazy, with your talents, it would be time to advance to the Jonin level. Then I really thank you for being so considerate of me. Zhaojian's heart was speechless for a while, as if a group of herbivores were running wildly. Let's go, don't let Master Third Generation wait for a long time. Minato, who didn't realize that he was self-defeating, took Zhaojian and hurried to the Hokage building. Although I really want to blame Minato for recommending himself. But now that everything has happened, Zhaojian can only helplessly follow him and head to the Hokage building to meet Sarutobi Hiruzen. Open black lens bracket ding. Trigger system mission. Promote to Konoha Jonin, mission difficulty 2 stars. Close black lens bracket. Mission completed. Reward 1000 points of prestige. Close black lens bracket. Master, do I need to take over the task? Close black lens bracket. Zhaojian, who was jumping forward with Minato on the roof, was taken aback when he heard the sound of the system. Then with a thought, he took his first system task. After galloping for a few minutes, the two finally arrived at the Hokage building. Knocked on the door outside Hokage's office, and after receiving a response, the two entered. In the past, Zhaojian had received tasks in the lobby on the first floor when performing tasks, so this was also the first time he entered Hokage's office. Master Hokage. X2. Master Danzo. X2. Seeing Shimura Danzo also in Hokage's office, Zhaojian was a little surprised. Unexpectedly, the first time he entered the high-level vision, he faced the two most powerful people in the village. After saying hello, Zhaojian fell silent. Since Minato recommended himself, Sarutobi Hiruzen must have many questions to ask himself at this time. You are Baiyun Zhaojian, why do you deliberately hide your strength? Before Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke, Danzo, who was next to him, opened his mouth and asked questions. After entering Hokage's office from Zhaojian, his eyes were fixed on Zhaojian. Danzo. Sarutobi Hiruzen yelled displeased ly. Although Baiyun Zhaojian's file is a bit unusual, it does make people suspicious. But you are the shadow of a village. If you pretend to speak before yourself, is it a bit outrageous? Hidden strength. When did I hide my strength? Zhaojian asked with a puzzled expression. In fact, on the way here, he had already thought out various ways to deal with it. Then how do you explain the amount of tasks you have only performed in the past few years? Danzo ignored Sarutobi Hiruzen's dissuasion and walked up with Zhaojian's file information. It also deliberately pointed to the number of times the Zhaojian task was executed on the file. As soon as Danzo raised the file, Zhaojian thought about it, and instantly activated the ability of bullet time. Before Danzo retrieved the file, He read the information carefully from beginning to end. Zhao Jian sighed and said, I have only realized the importance of being strong since my relatives and teachers sacrificed their lives. I also realized that my own strength is weak. Since then, I have practiced hard day and night, so I reduced the amount of my tasks. Zhao Jian's words are 9 points true, and they can be said to be true. So Danzhou, who was staring at his face, didn't let Danzhou see any clues. It turns out that Zhao Jian is not keen on tasks, but is practicing desperately. Minato suddenly realized. No wonder, when he said that Zhao Jian was lazy, he had a weird expression. It turns out that I misunderstood him. Open black lens bracket ding. Congratulations to the host for gaining the admiration of Namikaze Minato, and the prestige value is +1. Close black lens bracket. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Zhao Jian turned his head unclearly and glanced at Minato. Danzhou, what the hell are you doing? Sarutobi Hiruzen yelled again. But after hearing Zhao Jian's explanation, he also quietly breathed a sigh of relief. If Baiyun Zhao Jian really had a problem, or if he was a spy in the enemy village, he would not dare to imagine how much information Konoha had shed over the years. Humph, I hope you are telling the truth. Danzhou snorted and then returned to his original position. Zhao Jian nah. Sarutobi Hiruzen knocked on the pipe and smiled kindly. Let Minato inform you of the reason for coming, do you know it? In response to Lord Hokage, I have already asked Minato on the road. Zhao Jian answered truthfully. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. In that case, what do you think about Minato recommending you to become Jonin? Or, do you think you have the ability to fulfill Jonin's responsibilities? I won't live up to Minato's kindness, and the expectations of Master Third Generation. Zhao Jian said straightforwardly without thinking. If the time was before yesterday, perhaps Zhao Jian would be a little more tactful. But at this moment, he just received 2 system gift packages, it can be said that his confidence has greatly increased. Good. Sarutobi Hiruzen is pleased and said, but although Minato's recommendation is available, you have to pass necessary considerations. Yes, Master Hokage. Zhao Jian responded. Of course he knew what the so-called considerations meant. Although you are promoted to Jonin, you don't need to take the exams like promoting Chunin. However, one of the 2 conditions must also be met to be promoted to the Jonin level. The first is the quantity and quality of tasks, which need to be up to standard. Because those who meet the standard all indicate rich experience and strong strength. The second one is promotion through Jonin's recommendation. The recommended person not only needs to have the strength of Jonin, but also needs to be recognized by Hokage in order to be promoted. At this moment, Zhao Jian belongs to the second type, so he must prove his great strength to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Asterisk. Hearing that Zhao Jian was willing to accept the consideration, Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded in satisfaction. Then he asked some questions about Zhao Jian's experience over the years and trivial life. Finally, after saying something of concern, he instructed Minato, you take Zhao Jian to the training ground next to you first, and I will come over for the assessment later. Yes, Minato responded, and the 2 of them exited Hokage's office. After walking out of the Hokage building, Zhao Jian also secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Although the questions Sarutobi Hiruzen asked were not as obvious as Danzou's tricks, he only asked some of his daily life. But this is also his brilliance. Under the side knock, most of his activities and whereabouts were all questioned by him. Compared with Danzou's radicalism, Sarutobi Hiruzen's political methods are significantly higher, and he appears kind and kind. How credible do you think his words are? After Zhao Jian and Minato left, Danzou questioned Sarutobi Hiruzen. Don't doubt it. Sarutobi Hiruzen lit his pipe again, took a deep breath, and said, judging from his answer and expression, it shouldn't look like a lie. As the shadow of a village, how can you determine whether a person is true or false by appearance? Danzou was very unhappy. In his opinion, he should be arrested early and sent to Konoha's interrogation department for interrogation. This is the most secure and safe method. Call. Sarutobi Hiruzen spit out a smoke ring. If this is the case, then leave it to me who considers his strength. Seeing that Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't mean to explain, Danzou turned angrily and walked out. Minato, as Zhao Jian's Jonin recommender, naturally cannot be considered as Zhao Jian's consideration. So I can only find other Jonin to fight against Zhaojian in order to achieve the purpose of assessment. Up to you. Sarutobi Hiruzen heard this and shook his head. The two have known each other for most of their lives. Sarutobi Hiruzen knows exactly what Danzo's character is. As long as Konoha's interests are not involved, he can turn one eye to Danzo. The training ground referred to by third generation is right next to ninja studies. However, the ninja school was over at this time, so there was no one in the venue. Zhaojian and Minato arrived here, and after chatting for a while, third generation and Danzo walked over. And behind them, there was a young man with a cool expression and a fan pattern on his clothes. Don't wait long. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled and introduced to Zhaojian. This is the glory of Uchiha, currently serving as deputy captain of the police force, let him be your consideration. Third generation has just finished introducing the two to each other. Uchiha Rongguang looked impatient and walked straight into the field. He was very dissatisfied with the reason why the senior management sent him here. He is Konoha's #1 wealthy family, a member of Uchiha's tribe. And he is also the deputy captain of the Konoha security team. Did you send yourself here to be the consideration of a civilian ninja? Is this looking down on yourself? However, although Uchiha Rongguang was indignant, he dared not say anything about the high-level instructions. So I can only point the unhappy spearhead at Zhaojian. Boy, let the horse come here. Uchiha's glorious eyes scorned Zhaojian, arrogantly, and said, I have solved you, I will go on patrol. Originally, Zhaojian was still speculating that there were so many Jonin in Konoha, why did he find a Uchiha to test himself? Is there any way or calculation in this? But before he came up with the slightest clue, Uchiha Rongguang's domineering attitude made him frown. As a traverser, I have been adjusted for 10 years. Unexpectedly, just now that the system was restored, someone would be pretending to be Beep. In that case, please give me your advice. Zhaojian walked to the opposite side of Uchiha's glory, raised his hand and motioned to him. The two people's needlepoint attitude towards maiming caused Danzo's mouth to form a concealed arc. Start. Seeing that the two were ready, Sarutobi Hiruzen gave an order to start the examination of Zhaojian officially. Shua. Sarutobi Hiruzen just finished speaking. The moment Uchiha Rongguang raised his hand, he had already pulled out 3 kunai from the ninja bag, throwing at Zhaojian's face, chest, and abdomen one after another. And his whole body rushed towards Zhaojian after kunai. As a member of Uchiha, the senior management actually asked him to act as a civilian's consideration. Uchiha Rongguang felt that this was a contempt and insult to himself. So he intends to resolve the battle quickly, to prove their own strength, but also to let the seniors know the gap between the civilians and the rich. Bullet time. Close black lens bracket. As soon as Uchiha's glory raised his hand, Zhaojian activated the ability of bullet time. The kunai lacing came, in his line of sight, it was like a snail crawling. He saw clearly the 3 trajectories of kunai's flight. Call out. Turning his head slightly, Zhaojian avoided the kunai that shot at his cheek. The moment when he raised his right hand, the second kunai from the lacing happened to fall into his palm. It was like Uchiha Glory, deliberately throwing kunai into his hands. Ding! There was a sound of fine iron and steel. The third kunai was also knocked off by the kunai in Zhaojian's hand. Experts will know if there is any. The 3 people outside the court were slightly surprised to see Zhaojian dissolving Uchiha's glorious shuriken so easily. Although this shuriken technique does not constitute the slightest threat to them. But they can't do Zhaojian, easy and freehand. Humph. Although Baiyun Zhaojian's understatement seemed to surprise Uchiha's glory. However, after discovering that the opponent did not intend to distance himself from him after resolving his attack, his heart couldn't help but sneer. Well known. As long as the Uchiha clan turns on Sharingan, then you will get super insight. This insight can not only see through the opponent's ninjutsu, illusion, and physical skills. You can even see the opponent's movements clearly and predict the opponent's attack. Therefore, the Uchiha people who have opened their eyes also have a huge advantage in close combat. Let you see the gap with the rich Uchiha. Uchiha's idea of glory fell, and his eyes instantly opened Ergo Jade Sharingan. He has predicted that Baiyun Zhaojian will be defeated in his hands after a few rounds. Ding! Clang! Bang! Snapped. The moment the two collided in close proximity, the sound of the collision of kunai and fists was endless. However, the actual situation after the match was different from Uchiha's glorious expectations, and even quite different. After more than a dozen rounds, he has been suppressed to the point where he can only block defense. How can it be? Uchiha Rongwang was horrified, and cold sweat broke out on his cheeks. I thought that relying on Sharingan's insight, he would soon be able to defeat Baiyun Zhaojian. Unexpectedly, the situation is, on the contrary. At this time, he was restrained everywhere, and he felt that he was about to be immobile. How did Uchiha Rongwang know that his proud Sharingan insight, compared with Baiyun Zhaojian's bullet time, is completely scum level? No, you have to keep a distance. The glory of Uchiha at this moment has long lost its previous arrogance. He wanted to use illusion several times to change his disadvantage at this time. However, Zhaojian's gaze has been concentrated under his neck, and he has not given him the slightest chance to look at each other. Boom! Seeing the timing, Uchiha Rongwang slammed Zhaojian with his chest. Then he leapt towards the rear with the help of his strength, opening up the unfavorable situation. Perceiving Uchiha's thoughts, Zhaojian quickly bullied him. This is Zhaojian's assessment of Jonin's promotion, not an ordinary friendly discussion, so he has no intention of keeping his hands at all. Fire-style Great Fireball Technique. Seeing Baiyun Zhaojian chasing after him, Uchiha Rongwang forcibly endured the pain of being kicked in his chest. His hands quickly formed seals, and his mouth opened too, boom, and a fireball was ejected. But because of the pain in the chest, the reason for the serious obstruction of inhalation. There should have been a great fireball 3 to 4 meters in size, but at this time it was only about 1 meter in size. The path of the pursuit was hindered, and Zhaojian could only be forced to stop. But he did not dodge. Instead, he stretched out his hand to hold the shinobi that was pinned to his waist. Kang! A soft cry of the sword out of its sheath. Great fireball was cut in two in front of Zhaojian. Hot flames whizzed past him, but none of them hurt him. Sri Lanka won. Seeing that Zhaojian was able to slash the fireball without relying on chakra, Minato couldn't help exclaiming. At this time, holding the knife in one hand, he stood at Zhaojian in the training ground. Let Minato have a strong pressure. Sarutobi. Shimura Danzo stared at the court closely, his tone a little weird. I saw. Hearing Danzo calling himself, Sarutobi Hiruzen responded, equally incredible. The moment Zhaojian gave up chasing and pulled out the shinobi at his waist, his temperament changed drastically. Zhaojian at this time is like a sharp sword. An unstoppable edge exuded all over his body. That is the aura of the sword master. This kind of aura, Sarutobi and Danzo, have seen it in Konoha's White Fang. But compared with Konoha's White Fang, this breath of Zhaojian is more pure. When the three people outside the court were thinking about each other, the battle in the court changed again. Although the Great Fireball technique failed to inflict any damage on Zhaojian, it gave Uchiha Glory a breath of respite. With a long sigh of relief, Uchiha Rongwang hated herself a little bit. Unexpectedly, he was forced to such a situation by a civilian ninja. Annoyed and furious, he once again waved his hand and threw a shuriken at Zhaojian, and then quickly sealed his hands. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Uchiha Rongwang shouted angrily, his face twisted. The shuriken that lost away was divided into 2 and 2 into 4 in the air. Time to blink. The number of shurikens. It became hundreds of pieces. Overwhelming, covering the path to Zhaojian. Shoo, hoo. Facing this rain of arrows, Zhaojian didn't have a trace of defense or evasion. Instead, he made a move that everyone could not understand. Zhaojian. Seeing Baiyun Zhaojian, who rushed towards the arrow rain with a knife in one hand, Minato was taken aback. Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo were also confused about Zhaojian's behavior. Because at this moment, defense or dodge is the best choice. The ability of bullet time was pushed to the limit by Zhaojian. The flow of time was in his eyes, and he was forced to stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 27, 28, 29. After capturing the front, all the shurikens that can pose a threat to oneself. At the moment Zhaojian released the bullet time, the shinobi in his hand also swung out quickly. Atomic cut. Close black lens bracket. Clang, clang, clang. A staggered phantom flashed by. The voices of Jintijiaoge joined together. The shurikens blocking Zhao Jian's body were all knocked into the air almost at the same time. Atomic slash, but can slash a stunt of more than 100 knives in 1 second. The 29 shurikens that blocked oneself in a mere way were easy for Zhao Jian and effortless. The shuriken rain that broke through the sky and the earth frontally. Zhao Jian accelerated and rushed to the stunned Uchiha Glory. Flying sword. Uchiha's Glory reacted, and he hurriedly wanted to attack. But the seal is not over. A beam of flying slashes cut through the air and slashed towards him. Uchiha, sweating profusely, hurriedly interrupted Jian and rolled to the side to dodge. Choke. The slash whizzed past Uchiha's Glory. Not far behind him, a wooden stake used to practice throwing shurikens was cut into 2 pieces by a knife. Uchiha, who had escaped the slash, wanted to seal the seal again. But haven't got up yet. A cold shinobi sword has been placed on his shoulder. Feeling the chill from his neck, Uchiha's Glory suddenly stiffened in place. Accepted. A faint voice came from above his head. Uchiha Rongguang's body trembled, and he just woke up like a dream. How can it be repaired? Uchiha Rongguang's eyes were cracking, his fingers almost grabbing into the hard mud. He didn't understand why he was defeated so neatly. It is also unacceptable that, as a rich man, I lost to an unknown civilian. The anger hits the forehead from the soles of the feet. The nameless fire broke out in my heart. Sign. After Zhao Jian took the sword and turned around, Uchiha, who lost his senses, suddenly violent behind him. Holding a hand in his hand, I don't know when the kunai will appear. With lightning speed, he stabbed Zhao Jian. Not good. The 3 people outside the court were originally immersed in the power of Zhao Jian Atom Slash. But after witnessing this scene, his face suddenly changed. It happened so suddenly that even Minato, who owns Flying Thunder God, can't do anything about this situation. Boom. Just when the 3 people thought that Zhao Jian was going to be violent. The image of blood splashing in the imagination did not come. Zhao Jian, who was stabbed by Uchiha's Glory, suddenly exploded with a burst of white smoke, and his body turned into a wooden stake. If you look closely, you can still find it. This piece of wooden stake was cut off by Zhao Jian before, and used to practice the target of the shuriken. It seems that the previous remarks in Hokage's office did not convince Danzo. Zhao Jian, who uses body replacement technique and stake replacement position. You can see the expressions of Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo just now. In fact, after defeating Uchiha Glory, Zhao Jian found his chewing expression. So before turning around, Zhao Jian secretly formed the seal of the body replacement technique. In front of Uchiha's Glory, he also deliberately turned around with a very cool knife. Purpose. It was to deliberately inflame the anger in his heart, making him angry and attacking himself. And I can also take this opportunity to see what Sarutobi and Danzo looked like when they were attacked. Judging by this, they find a Uchiha to consider themselves, whether there is any premeditated. Zhao Jian's purpose has been achieved. Sure enough, Uchiha Glory attacked him. After using the body replacement technique, he was able to activate the bullet time and saw the expressions of Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo in his eyes. Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression was similar to Minato's, and both of them looked surprised. But Danzo's expression was a little surprised, somewhat unclear. Uchiha clan, is that kind of aura? Withdrawing his gaze concealedly, Zhao Jian turned his gaze to Uchiha's Glory. At this moment, Uchiha's Glory also picked up his senses and woke up. Realize what I did just now. Uchiha Glory, are you trying to kill your compatriots? Sarutobi Hiruzen yelled, and the 3 of them came from outside the court. Uchiha's Glory came to a halt, and his face became a little pale. For a moment, he was dazzled by anger, and Isshin just wanted to vent his unhappiness. After regaining his sanity at this time, he also felt afraid for a while. Zhao Jian can see it. This Uchiha Glory is an arrogant, but irritable and impulsive person. The competition is over, you still want to sneak attack. Minato, who came to catch up, is also very upset about Uchiha's glorious behavior. Seeing Minato, a civilian ninja, dare to accuse himself, Uchiha Rongguang suddenly became angry again. Since the matter is over, let's say goodbye. After speaking, 3rd generation, who had no regard for his ugly face, turned around and jumped a few times, and left with anger. At this time, the Third Ninja War has not occurred. Minato has not yet become the yellow flash of prestige. Therefore, in the eyes of Uchiha's glory, Minato is just like Zhaojian, a civilian inferior to him. He can accept high-level reprimands, but he can't accept the questions of civilians. Look, this is the Uchiha clan. Danzo stood beside Sarutobi Hiruzen, whose face was sullen, and added his jealousy, everyone is pretentious and arrogant. Hearing Danzo's words, Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned, his head aching. The Uchiha clan is like a thorn in his heart, like a knuckle in his throat. But at the moment, there is no good way to solve this hidden danger. Master Third Generation, am I passing the test? Zhaojian strolled up. As a traverser, he naturally knows the contradiction between the senior management and Uchiha. But it's none of his business, and he doesn't want to bother. Certainly, Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded and expressed his approval. Zhaojian's strength is beyond his expectations. Not only did he defeat a Jonin who had a blood succession boundary, he also won directly by crushing. Come with me. Sarutobi Hiruzen walked slowly towards the Hokage building, and said, after filling out a file again, you will officially become a Jonin. Yes, Zhaojian responded and followed in Sarutobi Hiruzen's footsteps. The first system task is finally about to be completed. I don't know what will be drawn in the first system lottery. Zhaojian secretly looked forward to it. That's right. Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly turned around and asked, what was your kendo before? The question of Sarutobi Hiruzen caused Danzo and Minato to quietly prick their ears. They are also very curious about Zhaojian's kendo. Can you swing a slash without relying on chakra? This is simply unheard of. This is the result of my practice over the years. Zhaojian casually fabricated a lie. It was said that during a mission, when chakra was exhausted, he unexpectedly swung a slash. Since then, he has to swing the knife 1,000 times a day just to find the feeling of slashing at the beginning. Huang Tian paid his attention. After several years of hard work, he finally mastered this feeling and reached the realm of the unity of man and sword. Genius, absolutely genius. After hearing Zhaojian's answer, Sarutobi Hiruzen has no doubt about it. It's because he has never seen someone who is good at kendo. But it was the first time he met someone who could slash the slash without relying on chakra. Asterisk. Before the group walked to the Hokage building, Minato and Danzo left. Zhaojian followed Sarutobi Hiruzen into the Hokage building. After filling out a new file, he successfully became Jonin. Open black lens bracket ding. The promotion Jonin mission is completed, and the reward has been distributed to the system backpack. Close black lens bracket. Hear the system's prompt tone. Zhaojian bid farewell to Sarutobi Hiruzen and said, Master Third Generation, then I will go back first. Well, go back, it's not early. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded. But remember to come over tomorrow, and I will reform a team for you tomorrow. Clear, Zhaojian responded and left Hokage's office. When leaving the Hokage building, the sky was already dark. Zhaojian followed the brightly lit street towards his home. When I was about to get home, I saw a figure standing in front of my house with a cane. It's not Shimura Danzo, who is it? Isn't this guy gone? Why did you come to your door? Zhaojian stepped forward with some doubts and asked, Master Danzo, is there anything you want to do with me? He, won't you invite me in and sit down? Danzo smiled. But it may be a long time squeezed face, I have got used to it. So his smile looks very far-fetched and ugly. Zhaojian frowned without a trace, wondering what Danzo's intention was. But he nodded, and said, since Master Danzo doesn't dislike the humble home, please come in. Although Zhaojian's family is not a wealthy family, it also has a small courtyard. After welcoming Danzo into the yard, Zhaojian made a pot of tea and brought it out. He wanted to see what purpose Danzo had. Unexpectedly, you are young, not only the kendo, but also the tea ceremony. Grandmaster. Danzo took a sip of tea and praised Zhaojian. Of course, hearing Danzo's praise, Zhaojian felt a little pride in his heart. After all, when this thing was in the previous life, one's own country was the real ancestor. Master Danzo, just speak up if you have something to say. Contentment is contentment, but Zhaojian doesn't want to chat with Danzo. Who is this guy? I couldn't know better. Konoha's filthy things were almost entirely done by him. Since you're so direct, the old man won't be circumspect anymore. Danzo put down the teacup in his hand. Straightforward, he said. This time, the old man sincerely invites you to join the Roots. The Roots. Zhao Jian was taken aback when he heard Danzo's words. Unexpectedly, Danzo wanted to recruit himself. Before this guy, didn't it seem that he didn't fully trust himself? Why did you throw an olive branch all of a sudden? Although I don't understand, Zhao Jian declined. Thanks to Master Danzo for your kindness, but I don't want to join the Roots. Think Zhao Jian is disgusting the reputation of Roots. Danzo persuaded leisurely and said, don't underestimate the Roots. Konoha can have today, and the Roots are indispensable. Master Danzo, you don't need to explain. Zhao Jian raised his hand and interrupted Danzo. I'm just not interested in the Roots. Regardless of Danzo's sincere invitation to himself, or for any purpose, Zhao Jian has no hold on the Roots. Reject. You have to think clearly. Hearing Zhao Jian's words, Danzo's voice suddenly became gloomy. How? Zhao Jian frowned and glanced at the shinobi on his waist. Does Lord Danzo still want to threaten me? Even though the distance is widened, he may not necessarily be Danzo's opponent. But at this moment, if Danzo dares to act rashly, Zhao Jian has absolute self-confidence and can cut Danzo into pieces in an instant. Danzo's pupils shrank violently. The moment Zhao Jian looked up and met him, his hair suddenly exploded. A strong sense of crisis filled his whole body. It was as if Shinigami had put the scythe on his neck, making him feel terrified and shuddering. Ha, ha, 2 bursts of air suddenly sounded. I saw 2 root ninjas wearing cloaks, standing right next to Danzo. Zhao Jian's expression was a little gloomy. Holding the shinobi at his waist with his left hand, his thumb slightly opened the scabbard. Unexpectedly, there were 2 roots hidden in his home. Master Danzo. An orange-haired root ninja stood beside Danzo, staring at Zhao Jian vigilantly, taking out kunai in his hand. Don't move. Danzo quickly raised his hand to stop the Yamanaka wind. He felt that at this moment, he was completely locked in by a chi. Thinking of Zhao Jian and Uchiha's glory fight, Danzo did not dare to take the risk easily. He hasn't realized his dream yet, and he doesn't want to confess his life here. The scene fell silent for a while. The atmosphere on the scene also solidified. Over time, the heads of the 2 rooted ninjas began to sweat. Good. You are fine. Danzo took a deep breath, suppressed the anger in his heart, and said solemnly. But don't forget, you just offended Uchiha glory. What kind of temperament the Uchiha clan is, I don't need me to introduce you to it. If you are willing to join the Roots at this time, I can protect you from Uchiha's revenge. That's why you, Danzo, are looking for the Uchiha clan as your test subject. Zhao Jian frowned when he heard Danzo's words, but soon eased again. I don't need Master Danzo to worry about my own business. Zhao Jian declined. Good. Seeing that Zhao Jian still refused, Danzo pretended to laugh at himself and said, in this way, the old man is careless. Let's go. Danzo greeted the left and right, and then slowly stood up. The 3 of them stepped back 3 steps, and then left directly using the instant technique. Inhale, exhale. Zhao Jian took a deep breath when the 3 of Danzo disappeared for a few breaths. His back was all wet with sweat long ago. Just now, when the atmosphere was at its most solidified, Zhao Jian had even prepared the idea of betraying Konoha. Fortunately, he finally endured it. Guru. After picking up the teapot and taking a few sips of the cow, Zhao Jian finally calmed down. To put it bluntly, I am still not strong enough. With a whisper, Zhao Jian turned and walked into the house. After taking a shower and washing away the sweat stains on his body, Zhao Jian lay down on the bed. System. I want to draw a lottery. Thinking of the previous confrontation experience, Zhao Jian became more and more thirsty for strength. If he is strong enough, how dare Danzo threaten himself like this? Although Danzo didn't ask for any bargain just now, Zhao Jian was also very upset. Okay, master. Close black lens bracket. The sound of the system fell, and the lottery panel was suddenly displayed. The lottery function is divided into 5 sections, namely low level, elementary, intermediate, advanced, and top level. 1,000 prestige points obtained by Zhao Jian's previous system missions. Only 10 low-level draws or 1 primary draw can be conducted. Use the primary draw. Zhao Jian thought silently in his heart. 10 years of system failure, he had already passed the novice period. So he didn't plan to waste his prestige on low-level lottery that didn't improve him much. Open black lens bracket ding. Consume 1000 points of prestige, and the remaining amount is 2 points. Close black lens bracket. Beginning lottery draw is starting. The system's lottery is a mechanism of 10 consecutive guarantees. After deducting Zhao Jian's 1000 points of prestige, 10 cards flew out of the elementary lottery section. Then it is divided into upper and lower rows and listed on the system interface. Then, turned over one by one. Open black lens bracket ding. Congratulations to the master for obtaining a lighter for Sanji, a soap, a hammer, 10 packets of French fries, and a samurai sword. Close black lens bracket. The first row of cards were all spread out. Zhao Jian frowned slightly. Because all the items drawn here are miscellaneous items, none of them are items that can enhance their strength. Open black lens bracket ding. Congratulations to the master for obtaining a bouquet of roses, a low-level attribute card green, a copy of Intimacy in Heaven, 2000 taels of silver, and a Vortex Physique card blue. Close black lens bracket. Vortex Physique card. After the last card was opened, Zhao Jian's eyes froze on it. 10 cards are all spread out. This is the only blue card. There is no doubt that this is the guarantee for this lottery. Vortex Physique card. After using it, you will obtain the unique physique of the Vortex family. Surely, God helps me too. After reading the information introduction of the Vortex Physique card, Zhao Jian was a little ecstatic. One of my shortcomings at the moment is the amount of chakra. Unexpectedly, the first system lottery will solve this problem that has troubled me for many years. Excuse me, do I need to merge the Vortex Physique card? Close black lens bracket. Fusion, Zhao Jian said categorically. The voice fell. The whirlpool physique flew straight into his body. A tingling sensation filled the whole body. Just when Zhao Jian thought chakra would skyrocket, his body suddenly calmed down. What happened? This shiver is gone. Zhao Jian was a little confused, because he didn't feel that chakra had grown at all. It takes about 5 hours to fully integrate the Vortex Constitution card and change the physique. Please wait patiently. Close black lens bracket. I see. Hearing the systematic explanation, Zhao Jian breathed a sigh of relief. As long as it is not a system failure, 5 hours is just a night's sleep. Glancing at the remaining prizes, Zhao Jian said, use low-level attribute cards. Open black lens bracket ding. Congratulations to the host, get 10 free attribute points. Close black lens bracket. The owner can open the personal panel and assign free attribute values. Close black lens bracket. According to the system's prompt, Zhao Jian thought and opened the personal panel. Personal panel. Host. Baiyun Zhao Jian. Spirit value. 180 plus 10. Stamina. 186 plus 10. Talent. Vortex Physique Infusion. Ability. Chakra Jonin amount. Super Dynamic Vision. Bullet time. Skills. Free Body Technique. Wind Style Vacuum Sword. Rasengan. II slash. Flying Sword. Atomic slash. Atomic Hit slash. Equipment. None. Prestige. 2 points. Carefully read my own data again. Zhao Jian added only 10 points of free attribute value, and added 5 points to physical fitness and spirit. Thinking of going to the Hokage building tomorrow, he shut down the system and went to sleep. This sleep is Zhao Jian's most peaceful sleep in these years. The return of the system is like giving him a shot, dispelling his worries and anxiety over the years. The next day, Zhao Jian woke up leisurely when the morning sun shone into the bedroom. Opening his misty eyes, he immediately noticed the abnormality of his body. It really deserves to be the physique of the Vortex clan. Zhao Jian clenched his fists excitedly. Although the body is still the body of yesterday, its implicit vitality and chakra volume have long been different from before. Now his chakra volume is dozens of times what it was before yesterday. Zhao Jian opened his personal panel and checked. I found that my physical and mental values have also soared by 100 points. In the future battles, there is no need to plan carefully to save chakra. Zhao Jian put on his clothes happily. Master Hokage. After washing up and eating breakfast again. When Zhao Jian arrived at Hokage's office as scheduled, two people had already arrived first. Since we are all here, let me introduce you to each other first. Seeing Zhao Jian coming, Sarutobi Hiruzen put down his pipe. Pointing to the two and introducing Zhao Jian, he said, "This is Tekuno, and this is Hitaki Kakashi." Zhao Jian nodded and motioned to the two of them. In fact, without Sarutobi Hiruzen's introduction, Zhao Jian also knew both of them. Needless to say, Kakashi. As for Tekuno, the big fat guy who is comparable to Akamaiki Dingza, in Hokage's original work, he is his teammate. After Sarutobi Hiruzen introduced the three to each other, this was the only time for the three of them to be stern and said, "From today, the three of you will temporarily form a small team, with Zhao Jian as the team leader." "Yes," Zhao Jian responded. Kakashi and Tekuno also nodded, expressing no objection. After all, the level of the two of them at this time is just Chunin. So the captain's job, of course, belongs to Zhao Jian, who is Jonin. Open black lens bracket ding. Trigger the system mission and get the approval of the team members. The difficulty of the mission is 1 star. Close black lens bracket. Mission completed. Reward 500 points of prestige. Close black lens bracket. Master, do I need to take over the task? Close black lens bracket. Recognized by teammates. The sudden sound from the system surprised Zhao Jian. But when he thought about it, he took the task. Now he is in urgent need to improve his strength, so he hopes the system will issue more tasks to give him impulse. Seeing that the Zhao Jian 3 had no objection, Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded, pulled out a document, and said, "Now there happens to be a task for you to perform, although the level is not high, but it is regarded as a run-in team for you." Sarutobi Hiruzen finished speaking, and passed the document in his hand to Zhao Jian. After receiving the file, Zhao Jian quickly read the information on it. Task content. Go to the border of the country of grass and land, dock with intelligence personnel, and escort the intelligence back. In response to the secret code, ask, "Did you eat fish today?" Answer. "My fishing net broke yesterday." The difficulty of the mission is sea level. If the enemy is blocked, the mission will be automatically upgraded to B level. Remuneration for tasks, 50,000 taels. Are you escorting information? After reading the content, Zhao Jian handed the file back to Sarutobi Hiruzen, saying, "If this is the case, then we will take this task." Farewell to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Zhao Jian took Kakashi and Tekuno and exited Hokage's office. This mission schedule will take about 5 or 6 days back and forth. Outside the Hokage building, Zhao Jian looked at the two people beside him, and said, "If you have anything you need to prepare, go as soon as possible and gather at the gate of the village in half an hour." Hearing Zhao Jian's words, Tekuno responded with a smile, ready to go. But Kakashi stood there, unmoved. "Kakashi, don't you need to prepare?" Zhao Jian was a little strange. As a ninja, always stand by for emergencies. Kakashi stared at the fish eye, and said indifferently and earnestly, "So every time after the mission is completed, I will prepare the necessary supplies for the next mission in advance." Nani? After hearing Kakashi's answer, Zhao Jian was dumbfounded. Although I know that because of his father's death, Kakashi has a particularly strong stubbornness towards the task. But the mission hasn't started yet, and the necessary materials for the mission have been prepared. This is not only a question of overly strict compliance with the rules. This is simply falling into a magic barrier. Looking at Kakashi with a cold and stubborn expression, Zhao Jian couldn't help but ask curiously, "Are you ready even for the food for the trip?" "I'm always ready, and I have more than a week's ration pills." Kakashi's voice is cold and simple. Quote. Zhao Jian doesn't know how to describe it anymore. Unexpectedly, he would be so paranoid. But thinking of Kakashi at this time, he has become his teammate, and the system tasks need to be recognized by the players. So Zhao Jian still persuaded Kakashi, "As the captain, I still recommend that you eat less military food pills. Although this thing is convenient to eat, it can quickly restore physical fitness and chakra. But if it is consumed for a long time, the body will develop resistance to it, causing the recovery effect of the Bingliang pill to gradually deteriorate." Speaking of which, Zhao Jian suddenly froze. In the original book, this guy Kakashi is blue no matter what, but he never eats soldiers. Wouldn't it be that when you were a child, you had a lot of drug resistance, right? The more Zhaojian thinks about it, the more he realizes it is possible. How long have you eaten this thing? Asked solemnly. About half a year. Seeing Zhaojian's look serious, Kakashi frowned and answered honestly. Your former teammate, didn't you tell you that this thing can't be taken for a long time? Quote. Seeing Kakashi shook his head blankly, Zhaojian suddenly understood what was going on. It must be that Kakashi's character is too bad. That's why his former teammates deliberately concealed the side effects of Bingliang pills. Otherwise, he has graduated from the ninja school nearly 2 years early. It is impossible not to know the side effects of long-term consumption of this thing. You still don't want to take Liangliang pill in the future. Zhaojian was serious and warned to Kakashi. Bingliang pills are emergency food. You are still in the developmental stage. If you continue to eat it for a long time, it will be useless to you in the future. While cautiously warning Kakashi, Zhaojian led him to the entrance of the village. When passing by a ninja outing store on the way, he also bought 2 dry foods enough for 7 days. Open black lens bracket ding. Congratulations to the host, Kakashi's approval, prestige +1. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket system tasks, 50% completed. Close black lens bracket. Zhaojian and Kakashi waited at the entrance of the village for about 10 minutes, and Tekuno was also ready to finish and rushed over. After the 3 gathered together, they left the village straight away. Chapter 11. Konoha Village. The Roots. Danzo sat on the chair with a gloomy expression, squinting his eyes to listen to the report of his subordinates. So, he has left the village. Yes. Yamanaka Feng knelt before Danzo and said respectfully. Baiyun Zhaojian left the village straight after coming out of the Hokage building. Hitaki, Kakashi and Tekuno were also with him. Danzo responded with a nasal voice. Thinking of the situation in which Baiyun Zhaojian slumped in the hands of Baiyun Zhaojian last night, there was a violent heart in his heart. So he gritted his teeth and asked, has the news spread? Feeling the anger in Master Danzo's tone, Yamanaka Feng's heart trembled. He quickly replied, it has been spread out. It is estimated that it will not be long before things will ferment. Who is it that makes our Lord Danzo so angry? Just now, a sound of tuned laughter, accompanied by footsteps from far and near, came from the end of the corridor. The light shines on the master of the sound. I saw his pale skin, black hair and long hair, and the purple eyeshadow on the eye sockets extended to the nose, and the whole person exuded a sinister atmosphere. Orochimaru, pay attention to your tone. This is not where you go wild. Danzo, who was leaning back on the seat, opened his eyes suddenly, his eyes full of violence. After coming back from Zhaojian's deflation last night, he became more and more angry. At this time, Orochimaru's teasing undoubtedly brought his anger to the brink of explosion. Ha 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 ha. Seeing Danzo's eyes full of bloodshot eyes, Orochimaru closed his mouth with interest. But he was very curious about the person who made Danzo so angry. The country of grass. A main road leading to the small town of Nara. The 3 Zhaojian, who had been in a hurry for 2 days, were finally about to arrive at the mission location. Take down Konoha forehead protector for now. Zhaojian gave orders to Kakashi and Tekuno. Their mission this time requires docking with intelligence personnel, but they cannot bring Konoha's forehead protector to attract attention. Otherwise, it is extremely likely that the identity of the intelligence personnel will be exposed and the other party will be in danger. Yes, Kakashi and Tekuno responded. All 3 of them took off the forehead protector from their heads. According to the content of the previous mission, the village intelligence personnel will go to this lake to fish every week. Zhaojian took out a map from his backpack and slowly spread it out in front of the 2 of them. Then he pointed to a place and said to the 2 of them. But it's not time for docking at this time. Let's go to the next town first and take a break to tidy up. After 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we will go to the mission location. After speaking, Zhaojian rolled up the map. The mission of this trip is very simple. As long as the intelligence obtained by the intelligence personnel is sent back to the village, it is complete. If there are no accidents, it is just a task of running errands. Captain, can we go eat barbecue? Hearing that he was going to the small town for rectification, Tekuno's eyes suddenly lighted up and said, after eating dry food for 2 days, I feel like a bird is coming out of my mouth. Can. Zhaojian nodded and agreed. After eating dry food for 2 days, he actually wanted to change his taste. I object. Seeing the captain and Tekuno, they actually want to go to the barbecue restaurant to improve their food. Kakashi stood up immediately, frowned and retorted. The rules of the ninja say that during the mission, we should be in hiding, and we should avoid going to that kind of mixed place. The captain agreed. Why did you jump out to stir up trouble? Tekuya's heart was agitated. He had long heard that Kakashi was notorious for being very paranoid about regulations. So he was originally reluctant to form a team with Kakashi. However, Lord Hokage personally called the name, and he was embarrassed to refuse. Unexpectedly, even this little thing, Kakashi would have to take the rules of ninja as an example. Tahiya was not negligent in his heart, and just wanted to scream each other. However, Zhaojian raised his hand to stop him. Kakashi. After clapping his hand on Kuno's shoulder, Zhaojian turned his head and said to Kakashi, "It's true to follow the rules of the ninja. But we are performing an intelligence mission this time, so it's best to be more relaxed and natural, so that we can better avoid being noticed by others." Yes. After hearing the captain's words, Tekuno smiled and said, "This is the opposite." What Zhaojian said made Kakashi stunned for a long time. Seeing that the two had already headed towards the town, after thinking about it, he followed. Ding! Congratulations to the master, I got Tekuno's approval, and his prestige is +1. The system task is completed and the reward has been issued. Hearing the system prompt, Zhaojian silently turned on the system and took a look. Then with a thought, I closed the system interface again. After all, the prestige value of more than 500 points can only draw a low-level lottery, which is not in his expectation. The three of them walked into the town swaggeringly. After finding a barbecue restaurant, he walked straight in. Had a big meal in the barbecue restaurant. When the three of them walked out of the yakiniku restaurant, Tekuno's waist was swollen. Haha, resurrected. Tekuno raised his hands, his face filled with satisfaction and happiness. The happiness of a fat man is so simple. Let's go. Seeing that the time was almost up, Zhaojian led the two to walk towards the target. Leaving the town, the three of them turned into a jungle with lush trees. Finding a tree with a wide view, Zhaojian squatted and jumped onto the trunk. Then he took out the binoculars and carefully observed the location of the lake. I saw a silhouette of a person, who had arrived at the lake long ago. Fishing on the lake shore at the moment. The other party has arrived. Leaping down from the tree trunk, Zhaojian handed the telescope to Tekuno and said, "Just keep it here." Tekuno looked puzzled and didn't understand what the captain meant. He clapped his hand on Kuno's shoulder. Zhaojian slowly said, "It's just a task to be handed over. It doesn't need so many people to go. Since you are good at arranging traps, then you can stand by here. It doesn't matter if there is an accident. If an accident happens, you are our line of defense for retreat." Although this task seems very simple, it is not even dangerous. But before the strength is strong enough to be invincible, Zhaojian's everything is based on caution. He didn't want to lead a team on a mission for the first time and capsize in the gutter. What's more, Tekuno's obese body can easily become the team's oil bottle if he encounters any danger. That's it, I understand. After receiving the binoculars that Zhaojian handed over, Tekuno patted his chest and promised, "Captain, don't worry, if an accident does happen, I will be able to set up the trap within 5 minutes. Okay, so I beg you." After clapping his hand on Kuno's shoulder again, Zhaojian said to Kakashi, "Let's go." After leaving Takuno, the two's feet moved much faster. We arrived at the lake in a short while. When they approached the person who handed over the information, the two realized that the other was an old man. After observing the surrounding environment for a while, Zhaojian walked towards the old man after confirming that there was no abnormality. "Yo, uncle, where's fishing?" Zhaojian asked with a smile. Then whispered to each other, "Did you eat fish today?" Hearing this, the old man raised his head and cast a glance at Zhaojian, but did not answer. But suddenly he smiled meaningfully. Open black lens bracket ding. Sudden mission. Lead the team to escape the rock shinobi encirclement. The mission difficulty is 2.5 stars. Close black lens bracket. Complete the task. Reward 2000 points of prestige. Close black lens bracket. Master, do I need to take over the task? Close black lens bracket. When the old man laughed, Zhao Jian immediately noticed something was wrong. The tasks issued by the system undoubtedly confirmed his ideas. Go. Zhao Jian gave a secret drink, then suddenly turned around, grabbing Kakashi's shoulder and shooting away. Whoosh whoosh. In the jungle on the right, a sharp sound suddenly sounded. Countless shurikens shot at the two. Wind-style vacuum sword. Zhao Jian, who was forced to stop, drew the shinobi from his waist with his backhand. The shuriken came towards the lacing, with a sudden wave. A wall of wind, let go and whistle away. In the sound of ding jingle bells, all the shurikens were blown off by wind style. Only then did Kakashi realize that he was in an ambush. He was picked up by Zhao Jian in an instant, and he didn't respond at all. Oops. At this time, Tekuno, who was in the jungle, was watching from the tree with a telescope. Seeing that the captain and Kakashi were attacked by the enemy, they immediately jumped off the tree trunk. Set up traps quickly. Ha, 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 ha. Just when Zhao Jian and Kakashi were forced to stop, several bursts of air sounded one after another nearby. A dozen ninjas wearing Iwagakure forehead protector surrounded the two at once. Open black lens bracket ding. I would like to ask the master whether to accept the task. Close black lens bracket. Call. When is this? And I still ask myself if I can accept the task. After taking a deep breath, Zhao Jian was a little annoyed, and secretly said, all future system tasks will be set for me to receive automatically. Okay, master. Automatic task access function is turned on. Close black lens bracket. He. They're here, why should you leave in such a hurry? Boom. A puff of smoke gushed out. The old fishing man became a rock shinobi with a chicken coop head. Seeing the difference in the number of enemies in S, Kakashi's expression was very heavy. He is a genius, yes. But facing so many enemies at the same time, he also encountered it for the first time. What do you mean by rock shinobi surrounding us? Zhao Jian looked at the chicken nest head and asked with an unhappy expression. Do you, Iwagakure, want to start a war? Although it was originally a rivalry between Shinobu village, it was common to steal information from each other. But before the matter has no evidence, the banner of Lizzie still has to be erected. Hey, seeing Zhao Jian pretending to be confused, he couldn't help but sneered. You are here to receive information, right? Why, don't you dare to do it? At this moment, the two opponents were both surrounded by their own groups. Sujiwotu was not in a hurry, but picked up a joking mentality. What are you talking about? Zhao Jian said with an innocent look. We just watched you fishing, so we were curious to come over and ask. Looking at the chicken nest head walking towards him while making fun of him, Zhao Jian was secretly happy. This group of rock shinobi is obviously headed by this guy. If he gets rid of him, the chance of breaking through will be greatly increased. Seeing Zhao Jian's denial, the chicken coop didn't feel annoyed. Instead, he raised the hidden blade in his hand and said, it doesn't matter if you deny it, but you are now surrounded. So are you planning to fight back? Or do you want to catch it? Just when Zhao Jian cheered, the chicken nest head was about to reach his attack range. A palpitating sense of crisis suddenly spread from the back of his neck. Clang! There was a sound of golden iron cross. Zhao Jian swung his shinobi sword dangerously and dangerously. Instinctively, blocked the fatal blow on the back of the neck. Cold sweat on his forehead. Zhao Jian turned his head abruptly. I saw a big man wearing a headscarf, and he didn't know when he appeared behind him. Kakashi, who was concentrating on guard next to Zhao Jian, was also stunned by the sudden change. The moment of reaction. Without thinking about it, he pulled out the short sword from his back, and smashed into the sweat. Go to hell. The head of the chicken nest also roared at this moment and rushed over. He didn't expect that he was already attracting attention from the front, and Dashi's sneak attack could still fail. Kakashi. 5 minutes. Because of the big man's sneak attack, Zhao Jian missed the opportunity to kill the chicken kutu in a second. So he greeted Kakashi and quickly fought with Jiwotu. Clear. Kakashi is facing off against the attacking man. Hearing what the captain said, he immediately understood what he meant. Because Takuno said before, the time to set up the trap is 5 minutes. Go together. The rock shinobi surrounding them heard the conversation between the two and thought they had support. So a swarm of people surrounded them all, trying to solve the two as soon as possible. The scene instantly became chaotic. Ding ding dang dang, ding ding dang. The sound of weapon collision is endless. The battlefield soon went from the shore of the lake to the top of the lake. Under the siege of several people, Kakashi's arms and back were quickly scratched by a cut. Team leader, Kakashi suddenly yelled, and reluctantly reminded, the guy before, disappeared. Zhaojian is in the same situation as Kakashi at the moment. It is also being besieged by several people. However, with the strength of the master of Kendo, and the assistance of bullet time. So he was not hurt. Even in the case of dealing with several people at the same time, the chicken coop head was suppressed to death. Ahahaha. Hearing Kakashi's voice, the chicken coop head who was struggling to support, suddenly laughed madly. Dashi's camouflage stealth technique can be integrated into various environments. Be careful not to be attacked. Although he was shocked by the guy in front of him, he could suppress himself under the siege of several people. But Jiwotu didn't have a trace of anger, but was full of excitement. I did not expect to perform a simple task out of the village. Actually caught a big fish. At this time, he only hoped that Dashi would kill the boy as soon as possible, and then come and kill the guy in front of him with him. Hearing Kakashi's voice, Zhaojian felt a little anxious. Although he was alone, he suppressed all the people who were besieging him. But it is already stretched. At this moment, when he heard the guy who attacked him just now, he was hiding again, and he was also anxious. Hidden in the dark, the enemy who does not know when to attack is the most terrifying and deadly. If there was only Zhaojian alone at this moment, he would have broken out long ago. But the system task is to lead the team to escape from the encirclement. Zhaojian regretted at this time, regretting that he hadn't left Kakashi with Tekuno before. Clang 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 clang, while dealing with several people's flanking siege. On the one hand, he was wary of the guy who was hiding. Zhaojian's play can be described as left-handed and right-handed. Just now, suddenly he noticed that on the lake behind Kakashi, in a deserted place, a footprint was slowly approaching Kakashi. Kakashi, he roared. Zhaojian took a rock shinobi's kunai with his arm. One move swept across the thousands of troops, and forcefully repelled all the surrounding enemies. Flying sword, the moment of twisting and swinging the knife. A crescent-shaped slash, shot through the air. Brush, where the slash flies. The turbulent lake was marked with a deep ditch. Dashi, after witnessing this scene, the chicken Kutu, who was repelled strongly, hurriedly reminded him loudly. But it was too late. Puff, the slash passed behind Kakashi. In the sight of the original empty, blood suddenly spilled. Ah 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 ah. The wailing sound resounded over the lake. I saw an arm holding Kuwu, suddenly falling out of thin air on the lake. Master Dashi, rock shinobi, who was besieging Kakashi, looked at it while smelling it and howling. I saw that Dashi could not remain invisible due to his serious injury and was exposed. Boom. At this moment, Zhaojian's legs suddenly stepped on the lake. In an instant, he shot at the big man who appeared in shape. This invisible rock shinobi is too threatening. We must take advantage of his injury and kill him quickly. Stop him. The head of the chicken coop roared fiercely. The rock shinobi who had reacted shot Zhaojian in their hands one after another. Shu, who, facing countless sufferings that stand in front of his own path. Zhaojian stimulated the pupil power of bullet time to the limit. In an instant, all the trajectories of kunai's flight were captured. Then the speed was unabated, burst out and swooped over. Puff, puff, puff. Almost all shurikens passed by Zhaojian. But none of them hit Zhaojian. Instead, they were all thrown into the lake beside him. Master Dashi, Master Dashi. Two rock shinobi who were closer together jumped to the left and right of Dashi. Protected the injured boulder. But at this time, Zhaojian also swooped down. Refined, gas, God, was promoted to the best condition by Zhaojian in an instant. Atomic cut, close black lens bracket. There was a burst of shout in my heart. Chiang 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 chiang. A phantom of blade light that was invisible to the naked eye flashed. In the blink of an eye, Zhaojian had swept behind the three from the front. Time seemed to freeze at this moment. All rock shinobi on the lake, including Kakashi. Everyone's eyes were fixed on Zhaojian's body. Zhaojian at this moment, holding a knife in both hands, standing in front of him. The 3 rock shinobi behind him froze in place motionless. Call. The breeze is blowing slightly. A leaf fell gently on the lake. Crack. There was a slight crisp sound. The leaves suddenly fell apart. Boom, boom, boom. The 3 rock shinobi behind Zhaojian suddenly exploded at this moment. That's right. Just explode. The blood in the sky, along with the broken pieces of meat, splashed in all directions. The nearby lake was dyed red in an instant. Dashi. The head of the chicken coop roared with a cracking canthus. Everyone was stunned by this bloody scene. Seeing Zhaojian, who was soaked in blood, like hell Shira. The nearby rock shinobi took a step involuntarily. They haven't seen the dead. But the death method that was chopped into pieces in an instant was too bloody and terrifying. A frightening atmosphere loomed over all rock shinobi's hearts. It's too much pressure for them to breathe. Kakashi was also shocked by the captain's strength. Dull on the spot. Open black lens bracket ding. The master kills a Jonin and gains 100 prestige points. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket ding. The master kills a Chunin and gains 50 prestige points. Close black lens bracket. Ding. The master kills a Genin and gains 10 prestige points. Ding. The 12 hostiles fear the owner and gain 12 points of prestige. Go. Zhaojian ignored the system's prompt tone. But taking advantage of rock shinobi's moments of fear. With a stride, he caught Kakashi with a dull face, and rushed straight out of the encirclement. The rock shinobi who reacted, their faces pale, and their eyes wandering. I don't know if I should go and pursue it. After all, the 3 companions were slashed. That bloody and terrifying scene. It caused them a great psychological impact. Look at what I'm doing. Seeing his subordinates looking at him hesitatingly, the chicken coop roared angrily, can he still use this kind of stunt? Yes, such a powerful trick certainly has no small limitations. At this time, the opponent is already at the end of the fight. Hearing Master Huogong's reprimand, Rock Shinobi also reacted, and chased Zhaojian to the 2. Where do they know? If it weren't for worrying about Kakashi's safety, Zhaojian can really chop them all into pieces. In the dense jungle, Tekuno, who has set up the trap. Holding a hand in each hand, the bow and crossbow with the detonating talisman came to support. Unexpectedly, in the middle of the road, they ran into Zhaojian, who stood out. Team, Captain. Seeing Zhaojian covered in blood, Tekuno's expression was a little horrified. Why are you here? Looking at the heavily armed Takuno, Zhaojian asked, has the trap been set up? The arrangement is complete. Hearing the captain's voice still full of breath, Tekuno breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that the blood stain on the captain's body is not his own. Earth-style tooling dumpling. At the moment when the 3 of them paused, a rock mass of 3 or 4 meters smashed over suddenly with a whistling. Chang. Zhaojian, who was quick-eyed, raised his hand and waved. A bunch of slashes instantly split the attacking rock block into 2 halves. Rumbling, the rock hit the ground, and a burst of dust rose. Go. Zhaojian turned his head eagerly and urged. One Kakashi is enough to distract oneself, and now there is another Takuno. If you are still under siege at this time, your system mission will definitely fail. Follow me. Tekuno raised his hand and fired 2 crossbows in the direction of the stone. Then he turned around and took Zhaojian and rushed back and forth. Follow my footsteps. After arriving in the trap area, Tekuno reminded the 2 of them. Then he took Zhaojian and Kakashi into the trap area he arranged. On the tree, under the tree, twists and turns. The 3 of them circumvented a few long and short circuitous routes, and still hadn't gotten out of Tekuno's trap. A series of rumbling, blasting sounds came from behind. Master Huogong. In a forest that was bombed into pits and bumps. A rock shinobi is reporting to Jiwotu, saying, there are many traps in front. We have injured 5 of our companions. Are we going to make a detour and avoid this area? Breathe, breathe. Hearing the report from his subordinates, the chicken coop took a deep breath. Angrily shouted, are you a pig? If you take a detour, can you still catch up? Rock shinobi, who was scolded angrily, was a little chilly. How he didn't know that he could not catch up on a detour. But no detour. Do you want to take the lives of your companions and go to this minefield full of traps? Looking at the surrounding subordinates, they all moved their fearful eyes. In the end, Jiwotu could only sigh helplessly. I thought I caught a big fish, but I didn't expect the fish to run away, so I told Dashi here. He didn't know how to explain to third Tsuchikage after he returned. There was a long silence. Jiwotu took a deep breath again and assigned, "You, go and collect the bones of the three of Dashi." "What? I heard that I was going to collect bones." The rock shinobi's faces paled for a while. "What, do you want me to go there in person?" Looking at the unwilling subordinates, the chicken coop gave an angry look. The senior officials crushed people to death. Thinking of the corpse that had been chopped into pieces. A group of rock shinobi are all bitter, as if they are dead. But the superiors have already ordered them, and they can't help but execute them. When the rock shinobi rushed to the lake, the fragments of corpses had already sunk to the bottom of the lake. Without any choice, they could only endure the fear and vomiting in their hearts, dived into the bottom of the lake one after another, and picked up the corpses one by one. But the lake is so big that the corpses have long been washed away. I can't tell which part of the meat belongs to the companion. In the end, they could only be piled together randomly and sealed up with a scroll. At the same time, the three Zhaojian, who had fled, were washing by the edge of a river. Kakashi's wound has been bandaged by Kudano. At this moment he was sitting on the bank of the river, staring at the dead fish eyes, looking at Zhaojian washing in the river. He really didn't expect the captain to be so powerful. If it weren't for the captain's powerful tricks, it would have frightened all enemies. He estimated that waiting for others is definitely not good enough. After washing away the blood, Zhaojian raised his left hand and took a look. The physique of the Uzumaki clan is good. Zhaojian sighed secretly. In order to save Kakashi before, he used his arm to take a note of suffering. But at this time, the wounds pierced by Kuwu have begun to scab and heal. System, I want to draw a lottery. Putting down his arm, Zhaojian whispered in secret. When I left the trap set by Tekuno before, the system's mission was successfully completed. At this time, he already has 2,676 points of prestige. Enough to draw 2 primary draws. Open black lens bracket ding. The lottery panel has been opened, please make your own choice. Close black lens bracket. Use the primary draw. Open black lens bracket ding. Congratulations to the host for getting. After a series of sundries were turned over, the system finally turned out the guaranteed bonus. Congratulations, Master, acquired skill, Kagura Mignon. Close black lens bracket. When the guarantee bonus opened, Zhaojian was stunned. I just suffered the loss of the team's failure to perceive the ninja, so the system gave me a perceptual technique. Zhaojian seriously suspected that the system might have opened the back door for him. But he likes this kind of back door. Excuse me, the master, do you need to integrate the eyes of Kagura? Close black lens bracket. How long will it take to integrate this time? Thinking of the 5-hour vortex physique card fusion, Zhaojian was also slightly curious about the time required for this skill. Return to the master, it only takes 1 second to integrate the skill rewards. Close black lens bracket. So that's it, then hurry up and merge. The sound just fell. A burst of information flooded Zhaojian's mind. In an instant, he was in control of how to use the Kagura Hard Eye. Try it. Zhaojian raised his index and middle fingers in the water, making a seal in secret. A feeling of throbbing suddenly rippled in my heart. The moment he closed his eyes, he suddenly felt a lot of things that he couldn't normally see. For example, Kakashi is peeking at himself at this time. For example, Takuno is sneaking a snack bag. Is this teammate so hungry? Zhaojian was silent in his heart. Gradually let go of the mind, and Zhaojian can perceive more and more. 1 kilometer, 5 kilometers. 10 kilometers, tens of kilometers. It's so powerful. Zhaojian sighed secretly. If he had this ability before, he would not be surrounded by others. Thinking of Rock Shinobi just now, Zhaojian focused his perception and swept towards the lake. He wanted to see if those guys were still there. If they are still there, I don't mind going back and harvesting them all. After all, the prestige obtained by killing the enemy is really impressive. Just killed 3 people and gained 160 prestige points. Sensation has not yet swept the lake. Zhaojian felt the anomaly in the forest halfway through. Concentrate on the perception and leave. The perceptual picture became clearer and clearer. I saw a man and a woman doing primitive human sports in the forest. I knock Lima. Zhaojian instantly interrupted his perception and hurriedly lifted Kagura's eyes. He traveled for 10 years. He also practiced for 10 years. So his hormones are undoubtedly strong. It's time to find a girlfriend. Zhaojian sighed helplessly, shook his head, dispelled the mess of thoughts in the mind. Zhaojian also gave up and continued to explore the idea of the lake. The rock shinobi at this moment have no idea, they just passed by with Shinigami. Use the primary draw. After putting all the sundries drawn by the system into the backpack, Zhaojian ordered the system again. Open black lens bracket ding. Congratulations to the master for getting 3 fairy beans, a pair of squid lady bracelets. Close black lens bracket. Luckily this time, I got 2 blue cards. Shondo Zhaojian knows that this thing is bug level food in the 7 Dragon Ball. After taking one, you can restore all your physical strength in an instant, and there are no side effects, which is much stronger than the Bingliang pill. But this, Cuttlefish Girl bracelet, confuses Zhaojian. Because he had never heard of it. Perceiving Zhaojian's doubts, the system automatically introduced the Squid Girl bracelet, produced in the world of Invading Squid Girl. Close black lens bracket. The bracelet has the function of adjusting its own weight. The upper and lower limits of the weight are 0.0005 kg minus 20,000 kg. Close black lens bracket. What? After listening to the introduction of the system, Zhaojian was shocked. A bracelet to adjust weight. Can the weight be reduced to 0.5 grams, and can also be increased to 20 tons? How could this kind of artifact-like equipment appear in the primary lottery? Zhaojian instantly wondered if the system was malfunctioning again. Ding. Feeling Zhaojian's suspicion, the system explained. To fully control this opponent's ring, it takes a long time of proficiency. Close black lens bracket. That's why the system deliberately reduced it by 2 draw levels. Close black lens bracket. I see. Hearing the system explanation, Zhaojian suddenly realized. But his mood was even higher. According to the system, this bracelet was originally part of the premium prize pool. It was only because of a bit of a rigid requirement that it was exceptionally lowered. Friendly reminder, it is recommended that the owner use the bracelet cautiously, do not adjust the weight too high, otherwise you may be unable to move because of the weight of the body. Close black lens bracket. Understood. Hearing the prompt from the system, Zhaojian responded casually. He doesn't plan to use the bracelet now, but plans to study it after returning home. After getting up on the shore, Zhaojian took a set of clean clothes from the storage scroll and put it on his body. Let's go. Zhaojian, who was in a good mood, greeted Kakashi and Tekuno. By the way, he took out 2 packets of French fries from the system backpack and threw them to Tekuno. Wow, Captain, you have hidden snacks. Unexplainedly, he took the belongings thrown by Zhaojian, and Tekuno suddenly exclaimed. Unexpectedly, the captain brought snacks. Poor haha, I was still licking the snack bag secretly just now. Because of Kakashi's body injury, the feet of the 3 of them slowed down a lot. When I returned to Konoha, it was already 3 days later. Kakashi was taken to Konoha Hospital and received some treatment. Zhaojian then went to the Hokage building to report on the task. What? Surrounded by a dozen rock shinobi. After listening to the task process reported by Zhaojian, Sarutobi Hiruzen couldn't help but exclaimed and stood up. Unexpectedly, the original simple task has undergone such a big change. Follow the task process as Zhaojian said. It is a miracle that the 3 of them can come back alive. After all, surrounded by enemies 5 times their own, not everyone has the strength to break through. Yes, Zhaojian nodded and said. The opposing team is led by 2 Jonin, one of them is Dashi, who is good at camouflage stealth technique, and I have already killed him. The other person's name is unknown, he wears a chicken coup head hairstyle, and his weapon is a 2-handed hidden blade. Sarutobi Hiruzen pulled out a stack of information files from under his desk. According to the appearance characteristics stated by Zhaojian, I quickly searched it. The front page of the file also shows the words, Iwagakure Top Secret. Are these 2 guys? Sarutobi Hiruzen quickly extracted 2 pieces of information with pictures from a stack of files. Zhao Jian was a little surprised. I didn't expect Konoha's intelligence department to be so powerful. You can even get information and photos of Jonin in the enemy village. Yes, these two people. Glancing at the photos of the two on the file, Zhao Jian nodded. These two guys are in Rock Shinobi village, and they have no small names. Sarutobi Hiruzen said with emotion. Unexpectedly, you could kill a Jonin on the other side while being surrounded. He did not doubt the authenticity of Zhao Jian's report. After all, Kakashi was also there at the time. If it's a lie, it's easy to get pierced. Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's sigh, Zhao Jian felt lucky. If it hadn't been for the super dynamic vision of bullet time, I would have noticed the footprints on the lake. It is estimated that the corpse of Kakashi was brought back at this time. Seeing that the mission process has been reported, Zhao Jian said goodbye to third generation. If there is nothing else, then I will go back first. Wait a minute. Sarutobi Hiruzen pulled out the mission documents for the trip of the three Zhao Jian. Ticked 2 tick on the top. Then handed it to Zhao Jian. Although the information was not retrieved this time, the mission was considered a failure. But this is not the fault of the Zhao Jian 3. But the intelligence personnel themselves exposed first. So Sarutobi Hiruzen was exceptional and approved the successful completion of this mission. After all, according to Zhao Jian, the danger of their mission this time has reached a level or even higher. It was not easy for the three of them to come back alive. Looking at the mission document handed over by third generation, Zhao Jian looked a little surprised. Because not only did he approve the completion of the task, he also marked a double check. A tick indicates that the task is complete. And 2 tick, it means that the task is completed and the reward is doubled. So, then I will retire. After accepting the mission document, Zhao Jian said goodbye again. Well, let's go. Sarutobi Hiruzen waved to Zhao Jian. Kakashi is injured, and he is also going to visit the hospital. No matter where geniuses and mediocre people are, the treatment and care they receive are very different. Iwagakure, a team of rock shinobi with a sluggish look and a sallow complexion, passed the gate of Iwagakure and successfully entered the village. They are the group of rock shinobi who ambushed Zhao Jian and Kakashi in the lake before. Fire. Master Huogong. I'll go back first. Just entered the village through the gate. A gaunt rock shinobi couldn't wait to speak. At the same time, with some trembling, he handed a scroll to the head of the chicken coop. The other rock shinobi, after seeing this scroll, their already languid complexion became even more haggard. Since 2 days ago, they were ordered to fish out corpses from the bottom of the lake. They haven't been able to eat a bite of food so far. The bloody and vomiting scene always lays in their hearts and makes them linger. It's really useless. The chicken nest head took over the scroll pretending to be calm. However, there is also a slight hair in his heart. After all, what was installed here was not a normal corpse, but a pile of meat that had been chopped up. However, as Jonin, his self-control is still slightly stronger. Seeing Master Huogong took the scroll, the haggard rock shinobi ran away. Master Huogong, I'm leaving too. Me too. Seeing that someone took the lead and left, the other rock shinobi also left. They just want to go home and take a good hot bath to wash away the bad luck. It's like being a bird and beast scattered. In an instant, all rock shinobi ran away. Call. The chicken coop took a deep breath. I feel that the scroll in my hand is a bit heavy. He looked up at the distance, the tallest building in the middle of the village. He hesitated for a moment, lifted his legs as if he had been infused with lead, and walked over with heavy steps. Not too long. A suspicious anger came from the Tsuchikage building. What are you talking about? Dashi was killed in battle. 2 Libra Onogi, who is 58 years old. All of a sudden, his hair and beard were all stretched, and he floated from Tsuchikage's seat. Master third generation, calm down, calm down. Looking at third Tsuchikage who was full of anger, a man in red hurriedly urged him. Say, what happened? Onoki ignored Yatu's dissuasion, but stared at the fire. He didn't believe in a simple ambush mission. Can let the Jonin die in battle. The chicken Kutu, who was still very proud before, was a little cautious when facing Oyemu. Slightly organized the language. He just told the story of the matter from beginning to end. What? After Huogong told the whole story, Onoki was stunned. You 15 ambush the other 3, not only let the other run away, but you also killed 3 and injured 5 others. Yes, although I don't want to admit it. But the chicken Kutu nodded. Who is the other party? Is it cage level? Onoki gritted his teeth a bit. Able to kill 3 people under the siege of 15 people, and stand out from the siege. He believes in the other party, and is by no means an obscure person. I don't know. The chicken coop shook his head and said bitterly, I've never seen it before. Hiss, whistle. Hearing Jiwotu's answer, Oyemu glared with a beard. Unexpectedly, I folded a Jonin and didn't tell me, but he didn't even know who the other party was. Seeing Hugwang still holding a storage scroll in his hand, Oyemu floated over. Needless to say, he already knew, here are the corpses of Dashi's trio. Thinking of that talkative, but Dashi who works hard on the ground. Onoki said heavily, leave it to me. Earth, Lord Tsuchikage. The chicken Kutu did not pass the scroll in the first time. But his face was a little embarrassed and said, there is one more thing, I didn't talk to you in detail. Oyemu was a little puzzled, looking at the chicken coop and said, is there anything else? Dashi and the others, they were beheaded too, corpses. Jiwotu intermittently for a while, and then all the words were said. Aren't they just broken corpses? The old man hasn't seen any scenes in these years. Seeing him expecting ii for a long time, it was because of this reason. Onoki was a little angry, and grabbed the scroll in his hand. Master Tsuchikage. Seeing Oyemu open the scroll, the head of the chicken nest hurriedly stopped and said, or just don't look at it and let someone else deal with it. Although Oyemu's strength is very strong, it is correct, but his age is not too young. Jiwotu is really afraid that he will be frightened out of it. What are you talking about? Dayemu raised his hand with a heavy rock technique, and pushed the head of the chicken nest away. Then Jayan raised his hand and patted it on the storage roll. Bang! A puff of smoke gushed out. A bunch of wet and unidentified objects were displayed. Bloody, fear, cruel, the atmosphere of horror instantly enveloped him. Oh! The tooth soil behind Onoki could not bear the nausea and vomited. On the other hand, Onoki was pale, and Chingjin was patient with his anger. He originally thought that what Huogong said was being beheaded, at best being dismembered. Unexpectedly, there are so few pieces that are bigger than a palm. After a long time, the two people slowed down. This is Dashi. Onoki's tone was a little uncertain. Because the pile of disgusting minced meat in front of me is completely indistinguishable. This is Dashi, intermediary, and bentonite. Because I have seen it before, the endurance of Jiwotu at this time is obviously better than that of the two. But on his forehead, there were beads of sweat steadily dripping down. Return home from the Hokage building. Zhaojian took a shower to wash away the exhaustion. Then wearing a big pants, shirtless walked to his courtyard. Thoughts move. The squid girl bracelet, drawn earlier appeared in Zhaojian's hands. System, can you just wear it directly? After calling out the bracelet, Zhaojian couldn't help playing around. Yes, just wear it directly on your hand. Close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Sliding to the inside of the wrist can reduce your own weight, and vice versa. Close black lens bracket. According to the system, Zhaojian put the ring on his hand. As soon as the wrist passes through the bracelet automatically shrinks and sticks to the skin of the wrist. Even with its own shrink function, Zhaojian liked the thoughtfulness of this bracelet. Click, click, click. Gently turn the handle ring toward the inside. The weight of Zhaojian's body became lighter and lighter. When the bracelet turned to the bottom, he could not even feel the weight of his body. Hoo-hoo. At this time, a breeze blew into the courtyard. In an instant, Zhaojian was swept from the ground. Wow! The moment he reacted, Zhaojian had been blown out of his small courtyard. After a while, he slowly turned the bracelet. The weight of the body gradually recovered, and he landed slowly from the air. In just a few breaths of time, Zhaojian has been blown tens of meters away by the wind. So close. Zhaojian, who landed, could not help wiping the cold sweat from his forehead. Fortunately, my home is on the edge of Konoha, and there are not many people around. Otherwise, he would be mistaken as an exhibitionist if he only wears a big pants. I haven't even found my girlfriend yet. If my reputation is misunderstood, I spread it out. After that, which old father-in-law dared to marry his daughter? Just when Zhao Jian was thinking about it, he was about to flee the scene. A slender Xiang suddenly turned out from the corner in front. Xiang has black long straight hair, black cut eyes. Excellent face shape. The figure also looks very predictable. The whole person still exudes a breath of beautiful ladies. The moment the two looked at each other, the air suddenly condensed. Zhao Jian, who was about to flee, also stiffened in place, not knowing what to do. I don't know how to be a crow, and I am mistaken as an exhibitionist. Cold sweat gushes from the forehead. Zhao Jian swallowed subconsciously. No, it must be explained. Whatever you say, you can't be misunderstood as an exhibitionist. If the real crow's mouth is up, what should I do about my future sexual calls? His thoughts turned sharply in his head, and Zhao Jian made up his mind in an instant. I said I'm not an exhibitionist, do you believe it? The words just came out of the mouth. Zhao Jian suddenly wanted to slap himself. How can there be a feeling that there is no silver or 300 taels here? It's over, it's over. My sex. With a mournful cry in my heart. Zhao Jian gave a smile that was uglier than death. He didn't want to explain any more. Directly a instant technique, a few jumps left the scene. Even explaining at this time is really getting darker and darker. It wasn't until Zhao Jian disappeared from his vision that Uchiha Makoto woke up with red cheeks. That guy, is it Baiyun Zhao Jian? Unexpectedly, I haven't seen him in a few years, he has changed so much. In Uchiha Makoto's heart, quietly exclaimed. Thinking of Zhao Jian's slender, tall, uniform and not weak figure, but with muscular lines. Uchiha Makoto's already flushed cheeks became even more red. Ba ba ba. Makoto, what are you thinking? Uchiha Makoto, who came back to his senses, shook his head a little embarrassingly. Try to get rid of some idiot thoughts in his mind. ... I hope I walked in time just now and I didn't see my face. I hope I just left in time. I hope I just. After returning home, Zhao Jian deceived himself a few words in his heart. He hopes that this sentence can be realized like a crow's mouth. After relieving the emotions in his heart, Zhao Jian studied the squid lady's bracelet again. After some careful experimentation, Zhao Jian found out. If the body weight is adjusted too lightly, the speed will become very fast. But when running, it is easy to stick to the ground, or even fly directly. On the contrary, if the weight is adjusted too heavily, the body will be unable to move due to the weight, and even a hole in the ground will come out directly. The most suitable adjustment for one's own weight at present. It's about twice the weight of one's own body weight. In normal times, you can double your weight to achieve a weight-bearing exercise effect. When you need speed, you can double your weight and make your speed lighter. This is the weight adjustment that is the easiest to control. Boom 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 boom. Open the door. Boom 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 boom. Baiyun Zhao Jian, come out for me. Just when Zhao Jian took control of the cuttlefish girl's bracelet, the door of my house was suddenly knocked, frame by frame. Who? Zhao Jian, who was disturbed by the knock on the door, also frowned and shouted. Pulling a piece of clothing on him, he walked towards the gate. Frame, you open the door for me. Before Zhao Jian reached the door, the knock on the door rang again. And the tone of the knocker was full of anger. But this voice made Zhao Jian feel a little familiar. Uchiha Glory. After opening the door, Zhao Jian discovered that there were 7 or 8 Uchiha people standing outside the door. And the person in the lead was the target of the assessment when he was promoted to Jonin, Uchiha Glory. You are nervous. Zhao Jian's anger also surged up instantly. Unexpectedly, after returning from a mission, someone would come to ask for trouble. You despicable and shameless, arrogant villain. After seeing Zhao Jian open the door, Uchiha Rongguang immediately pointed to Zhao Jian's nose and yelled. Boom! A muffled sound. Zhao Jian raised his leg and kicked directly on Uchiha's glorious belly, kicking him out. Whoever is yelled at by pointing his nose, he will not swallow. Unless the strength of the two sides is really too great. But rabbits will bite people when they are anxious. What's more, Zhao Jian is already stronger than the opponent. The glory of Uchiha, who was kicked, hit 2 of his companions while flying backwards, and the 3 fell together on the spot. Originally, Uchiha and his party were angry and attracted a lot of people's curiosity and onlookers. Seeing Zhaojian and kicking Uchiha glory at the moment, more and more people swarmed to watch. No matter which world you are in, there is never a shortage of people who eat melons. What are you doing? Seeing Zhaojian doing it, the remaining 4 Uchiha suddenly screamed in anger, and surrounded him with a swish. You Uchiha are really overbearing. Zhaojian gritted his teeth and said angrily, people who don't know, thought Konoha belonged to you Uchiha. Danzo said a few days ago that everyone in Uchiha must report. But Zhaojian did not expect that he really came. And it came so fast. What are you talking about? Don't spit people. Seeing Zhaojian actually in front of so many people, he gave the Uchiha clan at random and deducted a hat of rebelliousness, and Uchiha's face suddenly changed slightly. Blood in the mouth. Hearing this, Zhaojian suddenly laughed angrily. You all came to my house with rampant dominance, and you said that I was spitting blood. You bullshit. Uchiha's glory, who has already gotten up at this moment, wiped the blood spilled from the corner of his mouth, and said angrily, it's obviously you who are slandering me everywhere, so I came to the door to ask for justice. I slander you. When did I slander you? Zhaojian laughed at the words of Uchiha's glory. Obviously, after being defeated by himself, he was unwilling to find a place back. Unexpectedly, at this time, he would still quibble and blame himself. Seeing Zhaojian knowing the advisor, Uchiha's glorious expression turned anger. Looking around, more and more crowds of onlookers, he took a deep breath and said angrily. Last week when you were promoted to Jonin, I was inferior and defeated by you. I have nothing to say. But you don't need to promote it everywhere. I said that I was vulnerable, and that our Uchiha clan is narrow-minded and not a powerful weapon. Uchiha didn't finish talking about glory. The surrounding people who eat melons started to discuss. What? That guy defeated the deputy captain of the Konoha Guard. Isn't this what the person involved said personally? Is this still false? Who is that guy? Why have you never heard of it? I know. His name is Baiyun Zhaojian, and he often comes to my store to eat meatballs. Our Konoha village is really a place where dragons and tigers hide. Who is it? A commoner actually defeated a wealthy son. Ding. Congratulations to the host, gain the admiration of others, prestige +1. Prestige +1. Prestige +1. Prestige +1. With the increasing number of onlookers, Zhaojian's prestige value is also rising. Open black lens bracket ding. Congratulations to the master, who won the admiration of 100 people, and completed the hidden task 1, little famous. Close black lens bracket. Hidden reward. 1000 points of prestige are now issued. Close black lens bracket. Zhaojian looked sluggish, staring at Uchiha's glory in his mouth, and he couldn't hear what he was saying. Unexpectedly, being so harassed by them would increase a lot of prestige. I also let myself know that the system has such things as hidden tasks. At this time, Zhaojian looked at Uchiha's glory, whose mouth foam splashed, and his complexion couldn't help but ease a little. However, from the few words of Uchiha's glory before, Zhaojian probably knew the ins and outs of the whole thing. That is, someone deliberately misappropriated their own name to spread and slander the glory of Uchiha, and even slander the speech of the Uchiha clan. Finally, I blamed myself. Provoked a conflict between himself and Uchiha. There were only 4 people who knew that they had fought Uchiha before. Uchiha Rongguang, Minato, Sarutobi Hiruzen, and Shimura Danzo. Among these few people, Minato is the first to exclude, because he is not the kind of scheming person. Uchiha Rongguang's arrogant character, it is impossible to deliberately spread the news that he was defeated, so it can also be ruled out. The remaining 2 people are more or less suspicious, because they both have a grudge against the Uchiha clan. However, according to their personal settings, there is a 90% chance that Danzo's dirty hands. Because Danzo not only has a grudge against Uchiha, but also has eaten it in his own hands. As for Sarutobi Hiruzen, maybe he might know about it. But it doesn't stop it. After thinking about the ins and outs of the matter, Zhaojian was about to speak out. However, the voice of the system came out again. Open black lens bracket ding. The host's mentality is detected to be inconsistent. Please the host to give up the current idea. Close black lens bracket. Quote ? Quote. What's the meaning? Zhaojian was a little confused. I don't understand what the system means. The host's mentality of showing weakness is inconsistent with the purpose of the system. This system does not allow the owner to show weakness. Close black lens bracket. I'm weak. When did I show weakness? Zhao Jian was full of question marks and said, I just want to explain, I have been framed. Open black lens bracket ding. The act of proactive explanation is very likely to make the opponent and the crowd of onlookers think that the host is showing weakness. Close black lens bracket. What kind of shit is this? I was framed, I can't explain it yet. Zhao Jian was speechless for a while. Unexpectedly, the system still has this limitation. Open black lens bracket ding. After defeating them, the master can tell them the truth with pity. But you can't let others think that the owner's behavior is showing weakness to the other party. Close black lens bracket. How do I feel? The system you want to do something. Zhao Jian didn't finish speaking, the system suddenly issued a task. Open black lens bracket ding. Trigger special missions to defeat the door-to-door job seekers. The mission difficulty is 2.5 stars. Complete the task. Reward 2,000 points of prestige. The task time is limited to 24 hours. Close black lens bracket. Alright, you win. After listening to the content of the task, Zhao Jian felt that the system really wanted to make trouble. But since it has prestige points, why not take it? Exit the communication with the system. Zhao Jian raised his hand to interrupt Uchiha's glory in the splash of mouth foam. Since you said, I slandered you in the Uchiha clan. Then tell me, how do you really want to solve this matter? Seeing Zhao Jian seemed to be a compromise, Uchiha honored and just said, you must slander me for you, as well as the words that slander the Uchiha clan, solemnly apologize. Apologize. It's impossible to apologize. It's impossible to apologize in this lifetime. Zhao Jian suddenly possessed Zhou in his heart and murmured secretly. Well, Zhao Jian glanced at Uchiha who was there. Since you are all here, let me give you a solution. Hearing Zhao Jian's words, Uchiha Rongguang and several members of the tribe immediately confessed to their voices. They wanted to see how Zhao Jian would solve it. You want me to apologize, yes. But the prerequisite is, unless you defeat me. As long as you defeat me, I can not only apologize to you, but I can even visit the door in person to apologize to the Uchiha clan. After listening to Zhao Jian's solution, Uchiha's glory was frustrated. After he was defeated and left last time, he also realized that he was not Zhao Jian's opponent at all. Because Zhao Jian defeated him, he did not use any tactics or tricks, but directly crushed him. At this moment, I heard that I wanted Zhao Jian to apologize, and I wanted to defeat him. Uchiha's glorious complexion suddenly became even more ashamed. You know that I am not your opponent, and you deliberately said this kind of thing. You are obviously sincere and don't want to apologize. The angry Uchiha glory originally wanted to point to Zhao Jian. But thinking of being kicked before, he clenched his fist and resisted it. The surrounding people who eat melons can't help but feel very surprised when they see Uchiha's glory. After all, the Uchiha clan is in Konoha, but they are so proud. When have they met? The Uchiha clan deflated. No. Seeing Uchiha Rongguang misunderstood him, Zhao Jian shook his finger and said. You didn't hear what I said just now. I was not talking about you, but all of you present. Finished. Zhao Jian wiggled his fingers, pointed to the 7 Uchiha present. What, you arrogant man. After listening to Zhao Jian's words, all Uchiha present were beaten up with blood, and their faces flushed with anger. The crowd eating melons outside the venue also burst into a clap noise. Unexpectedly, Zhao Jian was even more arrogant than Uchiha, and he actually said that one person would be hostile to 7 Uchiha. The power of the people who eat melons is undoubtedly huge. With the exclamation of noise, the voice spread far away. Attracted more curious people. In Konoha Hospital, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was visiting Kakashi, also heard the noise in the distance. What happened? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked suspiciously, why is that direction so noisy? Master Hokage. Just now, an Anbu wearing a mask quickly rushed into Konoha Hospital. Master Hokage. After a slight gasp, Anbu hurriedly said, Baiyun Zhaojian and the Uchiha clan have a conflict, and they are about to fight. What? Sarutobi Hiruzen stood up suddenly and asked anxiously, what happened? Kakashi, who was lying on the bed, also looked over curiously. It is rumored that Baiyun Zhaojian slandered the glory of Uchiha and the Uchiha clan. Then Uchiha Rongguang led people to seek justice, and now the two sides are facing off on the spot. Go. After listening to Anbu's report, Sarutobi Hiruzen hurriedly picked up the Hokage cap that was placed on the Kakashi bed. Then he greeted Anbu and quickly rushed out of the hospital ward. Looking at third Hokage who has left. Kakashi also suddenly lifted the quilt on the bed and jumped out of the hospital from the window. Prestige +1. Prestige +1. Prestige +1. The constant reminder sounds in his brain made Zhaojian helpless, but at the same time he felt a little dark in his heart. Pretending to be forced. Pretending to be forced. In the past 10 years, I finally pretended to be forced for the first time. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe. Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. I'm in Naruto. Double package at the start. Chapter 21. Why don't you dare to agree? Zhaojian's eyes stared at the Uchiha group in front of him. Holding your chest with your hands is an expression of self-confidence. The 7 Uchiha at the scene, looking at the arrogant Zhaojian, their lungs almost exploded. When have they been so underestimated and despised? Good. Uchiha, headed by Glory, gritted his teeth and suppressed the anger in his heart. Since you are looking for death by yourself, you can't blame us. Although it is very embarrassing with 7 enemies and 1. But the glory of Uchiha was once crushed by Zhaojian, so it is natural to know the power of Zhaojian. However, strong, in a 7-on-1 situation, Uchiha Rongguang feels that they will never lose. Glory, seeing Uchiha Rongguang actually agreed. Uchiha Yudo frowned in confusion. He is the Uchiha who yelled at Zhaojian before. The other Uchiha tribesmen looked at Uchiha Glory in confusion. Because 7-1, regardless of the final outcome. It's a very shameless thing. Uchiha Rongguang pulled Yudo aside and whispered a few words to him in a low voice. Since he is so powerful, why do you agree to it? After listening to the whole process of Uchiha's Glory being defeated, Uchiha Yudo's expression became even more unhappy. After all, 7-1 is enough to make people criticize. If he is still defeated, then he and others will not be ashamed to say, "Where is the majesty of the Uchiha clan?" Call. Uchiha Rongguang took a deep breath and said, although he is very strong, he is hard to beat 4 hands after all. As long as we are united, it is impossible to be defeated by him one by one. Could it be that you look at his arrogant appearance, can you bear it? We Uchiha, when have we been so underestimated? Hearing Uchiha's Glory, Yudo still hesitated. After all, they were not assigned by the Uchiha clan to find Zhaojian's trouble this time. It's their own unauthorized actions. Have you considered it? Seeing the two of them walk aside, they whispered for a while, but there was no result. Zhaojian deliberately sneered. If you dare not, then go back quickly, and the province will be an eye-catcher in front of me. You. Listening to Zhaojian's very arrogant words, Uchiha Yudo couldn't bear it anymore. Okay. Since you are so arrogant, don't blame us for bullying you together. Call. Hearing they finally agreed, Zhaojian secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing that they had different opinions before, I was worried. After all, this is 2,000 prestige points. Seeing that everyone in Uchiha agreed to the challenge, the surrounding crowds began to discuss it. Some people think that Uchiha has promised 7-1, and they feel that Uchiha is shameless. Some people think that Zhaojian himself proposed this, and that Zhaojian himself is doing his death. Anyway, all kinds of discussions surround the people who eat melons, and they have never been interrupted. Good. Zhaojian faced Uchiha Rongguang and Yudo, and said, since you have agreed, find an open place. Don't break my front door. What are you doing? Just when Zhaojian and Uchiha and the group were about to find an open space. A low, depressed hum suddenly rang behind the people eating melons. I saw Sarutobi Hiruzen wearing an imperial robe and a Hokage hat, and finally rushed over. Lord 3rd generation came to in time, there is no more melons now. Yeah, if 3rd generation is a little later, we can see a big battle. What kind of battle is this? Can there be suspense in the 7-on-1 situation? Isn't it just crushing? You said so, but you are still reasonable. Among the people eating melons, there were waves of murmurs. What the hell are you doing? After passing through the melon-eating crowd, Sarutobi Hiruzen finally came to the court. I was angry when I spoke, and questioned both Uchiha and Zhaojian. They are all Konoha's companions, are you going to kill each other? As soon as Sarutobi Hiruzen's voice sounded, Uchiha and his group changed their faces and fell silent. Seeing this scene, Zhaojian suddenly felt bad. I finally irritated them. Unexpectedly, when third generation came, they would actually be stunned. There is a time limit for my own mission. Uchiha Glory. Walking between the two sides, Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly had serious eyes and a majestic anger in his voice. Exist. Feeling the full of anger in Master Hokage's tone, the cold sweat on Uchiha's glorious forehead could not help but flow down. What time is it now? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked inexplicably. However, the sweat on Uchiha's forehead flowed more turbulently. Leaving your job without permission during working hours? Sarutobi Hiruzen exclaimed. If someone sneaks into Konoha at this time, can you afford to take this responsibility? Hey, third generation, don't break my good deeds. Seeing Uchiha Rongwang and his party, they were already under the pressure of Sarutobi Hiruzen to lower their heads into their crotch. Helpless, Zhaojian could only stand up. If you don't stand up, your own system tasks will probably be ruined. Master third generation, and you. Just when Zhaojian spoke, Sarutobi Hiruzen turned his head and accused Zhaojian, just after returning from the mission, can't you take a good rest? Zhaojian's face froze, messy in the wind. Is it because you don't have a good rest? I'm the victim, okay. After reluctantly vomiting a few words in his heart, Zhaojian said in a serious tone, Lord third generation, please allow me to compete with them. Competition. After hearing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned in confusion, and asked, what is the competition? I am alone, singled out 7 of them. Zhaojian had a serious face, with firmness in his eyes. What? Hearing Zhaojian's request, Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly wondered if he had heard it wrong. It's not a weird thing to compete against each other. But it was the first time he heard about the 1-to-7 competition. Lord third generation, please allow. Zhaojian said again, his voice full of toughness. The 7 Uchiha on the side originally thought that the arrival of the third generation would indicate that the competition would end without any problems. Unexpectedly, Zhaojian actually mentioned it again. The people who eat melon off the court have the same idea. I thought that because of the arrival of third generation, this melon was over. And Zhaojian was arrogant before, boasting that Heiko would be 1-to-7, and because of the arrival of third generation, he had a perfect step to step down. Unexpectedly, at this moment, he actually brought out the previous Heiko again. This made the people who thought that the eating of melons was over and was about to leave, all of a sudden began to talk. Are you serious? Sarutobi Hiruzen asked again. Although Zhaojian had just completed the mission, he succeeded in breaking through surrounded by a dozen people. This really proves that he has great strength. But this is completely different from the competition in the same village. After all, fighting for life and competition. One needs to go all out, but the other ends. The former can do everything in its power, even break through its own limits, and display 120% of its strength. And the latter needs to be clicked, and at most it can only display 80% of its strength. So Zhaojian really has to pick 7. According to Sarutobi Hiruzen, the odds of winning are small. Yes, please allow the Lord third generation. Zhaojian's answer was extremely firm and calm. What about you? Sarutobi Hiruzen turned around and asked the Uchihas behind him, do you guys think the same way? Do not know why. When I heard Zhaojian, I asked Sarutobi Hiruzen again and again. A bad premonition suddenly arose in the hearts of Uchiha and his group. Because Zhaojian is too calm, as if he was already holding the winning ticket. This feeling made Uchiha's group feel very disturbed. They suddenly felt like they had fallen into a trap. But at this time, if you want to go back, it is already too late. Hearing the question from Master Third Generation, Uchiha and his group could only bite the bullet and nod their heads. See, Uchiha also agreed to this matter. Sarutobi Hiruzen pondered for a while before saying, since you both agree, then I won't stop it. But since it's a competition, then get 3 chapters. After speaking, Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at both sides and asked Zhaojian and Uchiha for their opinions. Zhaojian accepted the offer, as long as you can beat the opponent to complete the task. The 3 chapters of the Covenant are only 3 chapters of the Covenant, and Zhaojian doesn't care much. The Uchihas also nodded and agreed. Good. Seeing that there was no objection from both sides, Sarutobi Hiruzen said, in this case, let's follow the way in the ninja school. First, it is not allowed to attack the vital parts of the opponent's body. Second, those who fall to the ground are defeated. Third, the seal of confrontation before the war and the seal of reconciliation after the war. This third article is unnecessary, right? After listening to Sarutobi Hiruzen's long-winded words, Zhaojian couldn't help but complain. This is how grown up, and I still get kids to fight with Jayan. No, Sarutobi Hiruzen categorically said, rules are rules. Good, just not. Seeing that third generation seemed to be kind, and if you disagree, cancel your look at the match, Zhaojian nodded quickly. I don't know the use of this kind of deceitful thing for adults to execute. Is it true that after finishing the seal of reconciliation, can reconciliation really be possible? Isn't this self-deception? Okay, since we all agree, let's set the venue for the Chunin exam. Seeing that neither side had any more opinions, Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded in satisfaction. And for both sides, an open space was found. The crowd eating melons outside the venue also became noisy again at this moment. A group of people rushed in the direction of Chunin's meeting place, rushing forward. Attempt to first come, first serve and occupy a place with a wide view. As the matter clear, just when a group of people went to the Chunin exam venue. An Anbu ninja came to Sarutobi Hiruzen silently. Check it out. The Anbu ninja nodded and said in a respectful whisper, it is not Baiyun Zhaojian who spread the slander Uchiha, but a few rude members. Danzo. Hearing Anbu's report, Sarutobi Hiruzen's brows wrinkled. What the hell is he going to do? The Anbu member shook his head. He did not find such detailed information. Go down. Seeing that the reason is unknown, Sarutobi Hiruzen waved to Anbu. He was going to ask Danzo in person for a while to see what he was doing. Correct. Just when Anbu nodded and was about to leave, Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly said again, go to Konoha Hospital and find some medical ninjas. Although the competition between Zhaojian and Uchiha has been 3 chapters. But after all, they are not the hairy children of the ninja school. Both sides control various ninjutsu. To be on the safe side, Sarutobi Hiruzen decided that it is necessary to do some medical preparations. In order to avoid accidents, rescues can be made in time. Yes, the Anbu member nodded respectfully again, and the swish disappeared. A group of people flocked to the venue of the Chunin exam. There are more and more curious people on the way, and the team of eating melons is getting bigger and bigger. Soon, the team became a mighty team. For a while, the streets leading to the Chunin exam venue were all blocked. The level of excitement is as if a summer festival is being held. Uchiha ethnic land. In the courtyard of the Uchiha Grand Elder's home. What? You say it again. An elderly man with white beard and crutches. With a dumbfounded expression, he stared at Uchiha Fugaku, who was half kneeling on the ground. Hearing that the elder wanted to say it again by himself, Uchiha Fugaku could only tell the truth. Rongwang and Yudo took 5 companions to find Baiyun Zhaojian's trouble. Report. Uchiha Fugaku just finished speaking. A report that pulled the elder's voice suddenly came in from outside the courtyard. I saw a young Uchiha rushing into the courtyard with an anxious face, and almost fell on the threshold. Report to the great elder. When he rushed to the old man, the young man had not even calmed his breath, so he hurriedly reported. Rongwang and Yudo are looking for Baiyun Zhaojian's troubles, and they have to compete with Baiyun Zhaojian in 7-1. There were hundreds of onlookers at the scene, and Mr. Hokage has already been alarmed. What? The great elder turned around, and the hands holding the cane trembled crazily. There is no patriarch in the Uchiha clan at this moment. Therefore, everything needs to be reported to the great elder, and the great elder is now acting as the patriarch. Great elder. Seeing the old man exclaimed, his body suddenly fell backwards. Uchiha Fugaku hurriedly rushed up with his eyes and hands, holding on to the elder who was about to fall. God, heaven is going to kill me, Uchiha. After being held on, the elder screamed mournfully, with some old tears in his eyes. The discord between the Uchiha clan and the high levels began to sprout early in the second Hokage period. Today, the relationship between the two sides has almost reached the extreme. Unexpectedly, at this time, these ignorant juniors would dare to do such rampant things in Konoha. He also made the matter so much that hundreds of people watched, and even surprised Master Hokage. Elder, don't be too excited. Seeing that the old man was a little out of breath, Uchiha Fugaku quickly patted him on the back and helped him smoothly, saying, "We have a chance to save now." Yes, yes, yes. Hearing Fugaku's words, the elder hurriedly reacted and said anxiously, "Quickly, stop them, don't let things ferment anymore." After speaking, "I still feel very uneasy." So the elder pulled Fugaku's arm and stood up by himself. "No, it's better for the old man to go personally." "Elder, don't go, leave it to me." Fugaku hurriedly grabbed the staggering elder, for fear that his old man would walk around indiscriminately and get out of trouble. "You let go of the old man, and the old man will go personally." The grand elder threw Fugaku's arm away. With a cane, he walked out of the courtyard with difficulty. Looking at the stubborn grand elder, Uchiha Fugaku sighed helplessly, then stepped forward and carried him on his back. Otherwise, at the pace of the great elder, when the scene arrives, the daylily will be cold. Open black lens bracket prestige +1, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket prestige +1, close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket prestige +1, close black lens bracket. As more and more curious people joined the army of melon-eating people, Zhaojian's prestige value is also increasing in swish. When the group of people walked to the Chunin meeting place, the number of people eating melons had reached as many as 500 or 600. Among them are some Konoha's famous ninjas, such as the fathers of the next 12 Xiaoqiang. Chunin exam venue. Zhaojian and Uchiha and his party have all entered the field. Sarutobi Hiruzen is also off the court. At this time, he directly acted as the referee of this competition. "I haven't forgotten the previous 3 chapters of the contract." Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at both sides and reminded again. "I haven't forgotten, let's get started." Zhaojian urged somewhat impatiently. At this moment, all the people who eat melon are already seated in the audience. The sound of the increase in prestige in Zhaojian's mind also gradually subsided. So now he just wants to finish the game as soon as possible, so as not to have long nights and many dreams, and other changes will happen, which disturbs his system tasks. Listening to Zhaojian's urging voice, Uchiha Yudo's eyebrows frowned deeper and deeper. Because of Zhaojian's performance, I really want to have a general purpose. This made his feeling of being in the game even stronger. But he didn't know where he was in the middle. We didn't forget either. Uchiha Rongguang took a step forward and replied to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Zhaojian's urging words made him feel that he and others were underestimated, which made him tickle with hatred. "In that case, let's make a seal of opposition first." After Sarutobi Hiruzen finished speaking, he jumped a few times and retreated quickly to the rear. The venue was handed over to the 2 parties who were about to compete. Seeing Sarutobi Hiruzen always emphasizing this self-deception Jiayin, Zhaojian felt a little helpless. But in order to complete the task as soon as possible, he still did. The distance between the 2 sides is more than 10 meters apart. Uchiha and his party of 7 stood in a row with serious expressions. Everyone raised their left hand and stood in front of them. Neat team, same action. A solemn and heavy breath spread from them in all directions. Call, spit out a sigh of breath. Zhaojian held the shinobi at his waist in his right hand, and gradually raised his left hand. Looking at the 7 Uchiha, who seemed to be forced, Zhaojian actually wanted to put his middle finger up. But think about it and forget it. After all, the goal has been achieved, and there is no need to stimulate them. The difference in the numbers of the 2 sides formed a strong contrast. Few people in the audience are optimistic about Zhaojian. Start. Sarutobi Hiruzen from outside the field shouted loudly when the 2 sides had finished printing. Just as Sarutobi Hiruzen's voice started, just as soon as it fell, Uchiha and his party of 7 opened their eyes at the same time. The 7 pairs of red eyes were also revealed at the same time. On their way to the Chunin meeting place, they had already discussed a strategy against the enemy. That is full firepower. You must defeat Zhaojian in the shortest time. In this case, their 7-to-1 situation will not be criticized by others. The audience will only feel that this is Zhaojian's arrogance, insisting on 1-1 and 7 for all. If it takes a long time to fight, or finally wins badly, then even if they win, their reputation will not sound good. It may even make people feel that the giant Uchiha is nothing more than that. The moment the 7 pairs of Sharingan opened together, an aura burst out of them. In an instant, the hair tips and clothing corners of the 7 of them were blown erratic. Wow! Zhaojian couldn't help but exclaimed in his heart. The Uchiha clan is indeed a clan with a breath of pretense. Unexpectedly, when I opened my eyes at the same time, there would be a buff added automatically without wind. But marveling and marveling, Zhaojian quietly opened the eyes of Kagura at the moment when he put down the seal of opposition. Because Kagura's heart needs the seal of not, which is actually the same as the seal of opposition. As long as the index finger and middle finger are raised, this skill can be activated instantly. Do it. Brush, brush, swipe. The 7 Uchihas behind their eyes opened, after looking at each other. One after another took out kunai. From different angles, they shot towards Zhaojian one after another. At the same time, the 7 also burst out and dispersed, trying to surround Zhaojian while avoiding or blocking him. Click, click. At the moment when Uchihas rushed, Zhaojian made a move to move his wrists, then secretly used the Squid Mother's bracelet to lower her weight more than doubled. Wind-style vacuum sword. Zhaojian draws a knife backhand. A wall of wind came out. Because the Cuttlefish girl's bracelet has reduced her weight, Zhaojian's speed of drawing his sword this time was 1/2 faster than usual. Ding ding dong dang. In the sound of a series of shurikens being shot down, the wind wall whistled in front of several Uchihas in an instant. Dodge! Uchiha Rongguang shouted as a reminder. One turned over and jumped to the side. The last time he played against Zhaojian, he was defeated by Zhaojian with kendo. So he didn't know that Zhaojian would still have this kind of unprinted wind style. Boom! Several Uchihas within the Zhaojian wind style range quickly dodge in a panic. However, there was still one person who couldn't dodge because of his position. The wind wall that was held in an instant knocked out. Puff! Uchiha, who was knocked into the air by wind style, landed on his back and fell to the spot severely. Uchiha leads people and loses. Close black lens bracket. Uchiha, who was knocked down, just got up and wanted to continue participating in the siege. However, Sarutobi Hiruzen outside the field suddenly reminded him loudly. What? Uchiha looked at Master Third Generation with a look of confusion, and hurriedly said, Master Third Generation, I am not injured. The rules just now have been stated very clearly, and the one who falls on the ground is defeated. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't pay attention to Uchiha's anxious lead, but turned his attention to the field where the battle was already formed. After listening to Master Third Generation's words, Uchiha's leader shrugged his head in frustration. There was a tumult among the crowd eating melons in the audience. Unexpectedly, Uchiha would lose one person in just one collision. Listening to the talking voices in the ear, Uchiha's head dropped lower. He felt that he was standing here at the moment, and he felt ashamed of himself. Ding ding, clang clang. Bang bang, bang bang. Zhaojian, who was under siege, dodged among the crowd, his body was as light as a flying swallow. Everyone in Uchiha was shocked. I didn't expect Zhaojian to be so sensitive. Kurosawa, Schwenny, you two keep your distance and support with shuriken. Seeing that if this continues to be maintained, the time will be longer and longer. So while Uchiha Yuto besieged Zhaojian, he also presided over the battle. Yes, X2. The 2 Chunin from Uchiha hurriedly responded. Then he found a gap and quickly jumped backward. Chang! Just when the 2 jumped backwards, their bodies in midair, Zhaojian twisted suddenly. At one of them, he quickly swung a slash. Pouch! Forehead! Because of being unable to dodge in midair, a Uchiha could only have a face full of horror, and watch the slash hit him head-on. Blackpool. Another Uchiha was shocked when he witnessed his companion being hit. Just when he thought that his companion was hit hard, or his life was in danger. However, seeing Uchiha Kurosawa look dumbfounded, he raised his hand and stroked the wound he was hit by the slash. I saw a slender scar, spreading straight from his right shoulder to his lower abdomen. But the magic is that he didn't suffer much damage. Because the depth of this scar is only about 1/2 centimeter. Uchiha Kurosawa, lose, close black lens bracket. Just when Uchiha Kurosawa thought that Zhaojian's slash was just a bluff, the lingering voice of the third generation came. What? Hearing that he had been defeated, Uchiha Kurosawa suddenly wondered, Master third generation, I didn't fall to the ground. His slashes were just outside and inside. If it weren't for the mercy of others, you would have been beheaded on the spot. Seeing Uchiha Kurosawa's defense, Sarutobi Hiruzen explained without looking back. At this time, he was also very shocked by Zhaojian's strength. Because Zhaojian not only controls kendo, but also takes care of wounding but not killing. Even under the siege of a few people, it was evenly matched and able to fight to the present with ease. Hearing the words of Master Third Generation, Uchiha Kurosawa gritted his teeth, and retreated somewhat unwillingly. Come on and help, what are you still doing in a daze? Hearing that another person had been defeated, Uchiha Yudo looked up anxiously. Unexpectedly, I saw Uchiha Geno, who was in a daze watching Uchiha Kurosawa who had left the field. Suddenly his anger surged, and he hurriedly roared in anger. Originally, 6 people besieged Zhaojian, they were able to suppress Zhaojian to dodge defensively. At this time, there were 2 people missing, and they suddenly felt like they had more than enough energy. Hearing Uchiha Yudo's roar, Uchiha Geno quickly reacted with an agitated spirit. At the same time, he hated himself a little bit in his heart, and he was distracted at such a dangerous moment. Call out. Regaining his senses, he immediately shot the kunai in his hand towards the back of Zhaojian's head. Swish! Kagura's eyes sensed the movement behind him. Zhaojian hurriedly tilted his head, pressed against his cheek without danger, and flew out instantly. What are you doing? Just when Uchiha Geno was about to shoot the second kunai, Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly turned his head, and sternly said to him, the first of the 3 chapters of the agreement, you are not allowed to attack the other party's vitals, do you take it as a deaf ear? He had been staring at Zhaojian who was fighting with the 4 at the same time, so he didn't pay attention to Uchiha Shueni outside. Unexpectedly, he suddenly shot at Zhaojian's back of the head when he was suffering. Sarutobi Hiruzen was really startled in a cold sweat. Forehead. Uchiha Glory choked. He was yelled by Uchiha Yudo just now, and he hurriedly recovered, he really forgot the 3 chapters of the contract. This guy is too dangerous, he must be killed first. Zhaojian's heart alarm bells loudly. Although Kagura's heart could detect the actions behind him. But he is not like bullet time, you can slow down time and let yourself observe carefully. If it weren't for the Squid Lady bracelet, which reduced her weight and made her speed faster, I just guessed that the gutter would be capsized. Zhaojian concentrated all his perceptual powers spreading around him to perceive the past. In an instant, Uchiha Shueni was clearly stamped in his mind. Without Kagura's heart's perception of the surroundings, Zhaojian immediately couldn't see anything beyond his sight by relying on the ability of bullet time. This made the Uchihas who were fighting against him immediately feel the pressure reduction. It seems that interference tactics have worked. The hearts of Uchiha began to lift up. Call out. At this time, Uchiha Geno from the back threw a shuriken again. Zhaojian, whose perceptual power was all concentrated on him, immediately captured the path of kunai clearly. It's now. Zhaojian gave a secret cry. With the strength of the vortex physique, he punched Uchiha Rongguang hard and knocked him back in an instant. The moment there was no one to besiege, Zhaojian hurriedly turned around again. The pupil power of bullet time is open to the limit. At the moment when Kumo was about to hit her back, she grabbed the kunai from the lacing shot. One rotation in place. The inertia generated by the rotation. Zhaojian slammed the kunai in his hand and replied to Uchiha Geno. Call out. The piercing sound of piercing the air passed by in a flash. It is different from Uchiha Geno's throw. With the vortex physique and the blessing of the Squid Lady's bracelet, Zhaojian can shoot kunai faster. As if cutting through the sky, it brought a harsh whistling sound. In an instant, the whole kunai was all, and it was submerged in Uchiha Geno's thigh. When people are most relaxed, they are also the easiest time to be recruited. Uchiha Genye was on the periphery, and he didn't expect that Zhaojian could be distracted and attack him under the siege of a few people. The sharp pain in his thigh instantly drew his attention back. Uchiha Geno, lose, close black lens bracket. Sarutobi Hiruzen's voice rang loudly outside the court. It was sworn that Uchiha had another person and was defeated by Zhaojian. Wow, wow, there was a sudden burst of noise in the audience. Okay, so awesome. I didn't expect Baiyun Zhaojian to be so strong. Yeah, no one thought that the battle situation would be like this. Just now someone said that Baiyun Zhaojian would be crushed, and that there was no suspense about his defeat. Could it be these that Uchiha is too weak? Oh, I really admire your face. Can you hold on to the 2 Jonin and 5 Chunin so far? The lively discussion in the audience has never been interrupted. Originally, they were very arrogant about Zhaojian, all of them were not optimistic about it, and they even made a fool of him. Unexpectedly, the development of the competition has exceeded all of their expectations. Kacha, this guy is amazing. A big red-haired fat man stuffed snacks into his mouth while staring at the fierce battle off the court in amazement. He is the Akamaiki Dingza in this generation of Ino Shikacho. What do you think? Yamanaka Kaiichi with a ponytail turned his head and asked the young man beside him. Strong physique, extremely fast speed, super perception, and unpredictable swordsmanship. It's amazing. I didn't expect Konoha to have such a guy. Hearing a friend's inquiry, Naraluju gave a very high evaluation without hesitation. The Nara clan have extremely high IQs. From Zhaojian's fighting style, he immediately analyzed the abilities that Zhaojian possessed. Oops. The moment Uchiha's glory was repulsed, he felt bad. As predicted, the screams of the companions and the announcement of third generation immediately sounded one after another. It's over, I ruined Uchiha's reputation. Uchiha Rongguang's heart was dead. He had already anticipated how he would be treated when he returned to the Uchiha clan. The anger and rebuke of the top, the Byakugan and verbal abuse of the same clan. His next life will be gloomy. I don't want such a life. The glory of Uchiha, who was full of fear in his heart, suddenly distorted his face, roared loudly, and also caused surprises among the crowd eating melons off the court. Just when his mood fluctuated to the extreme, his bloodshot eyes suddenly experienced a violent concussion. Sharingan, who was next to his 2-Go Jade, suddenly evolved to the state of 3-Go Jade. The moment the eyes evolved, Uchiha Rongguang immediately noticed the abnormality. Hitomi, the pupil power has increased. Uchiha Rongguang's heart was overjoyed. Unexpectedly, at this critical moment, he actually evolved. At this moment, his eyes could clearly capture Zhaojian's speed. Jump! Uchiha regained his glory, and slammed his feet on the ground, and rushed into the battle again. Hula la la! There was another heated discussion in the audience. They are too far away to see the evolution of Uchiha's glorious eyes. But they can clearly feel that Uchiha's glory has risen a lot. Ding! Clang! Boom! Snapped! After Uchiha Rongguang joined the battle again, Zhaojian also noticed a change in his strength. Before, his strength was probably between Uchiha Yu and Uchiha. But at this moment, he suddenly became stronger obviously. Zhaojian was a little confused, and raised his eyes to look at Uchiha's glory. At the moment when the two eyes met, a powerful pupil power suddenly invaded. Oops! Zhaojian, who felt dizzy for a while, immediately knew that he had fallen into illusion. It's done. Seeing Zhaojian, his eyes were lost. Uchiha's glorious complexion was immediately overjoyed. Unexpectedly, Zhaojian actually made such a low-level mistake and met his Sharingan. Boom! Just when Uchiha glory punched out, intending to end Zhaojian, a surging chakra suddenly burst out of Zhaojian's body unscrupulously. For a time, the entire scene was swept by violent winds, flying sand and rocks. And the fist that Uchiha glory hit against Zhaojian's cheek was also blocked in an instant. So close. Zhaojian, who forcibly broke free from the illusion, was also shocked in cold sweat. Had it not been for the vortex physique to have a large enough chakra, he would definitely have finished playing just now. What a powerful chakra volume! Seeing Zhaojian, who was full of chakra, Sarutobi Hiruzen outside the court was shocked. In his impression, it seems that only the Senju and Vortex clan can have such a huge amount of chakra. So while he is shocked now, he also has doubts. It must be a distance. Zhaojian, who was in the middle of the battle, whispered a little annoyedly. Unexpectedly, Having just solved Uchiha Geno off the court, Kagura's heart and eyes would be liberated again. Uchiha Glory suddenly evolved at this time, and the battle was stalemate again. But what Zhaojian didn't know was that the Uchihas at this moment were even more annoyed than him, and even their hearts were filled with horror. When have they seen such a huge chakra? This amount of chakra is several times more than the sum of chakra of the four of them. This made them both horrified and at the same time full of puzzlement. I don't understand why a civilian ninja has such a huge amount of chakra. Boom, I took a good time. Zhaojian jumped up suddenly when a Uchiha kicked him. Then his feet hit the opponent's toes and suddenly borrowed force, and a tumble leapt backwards. Quickly chase. Uchiha was shocked by glory. Zhaojian's kendo slash comes with his hand, and there is no need for the seal. If you let him get a distance, you can imagine the fate of yourself and others. Ha, 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 ha. The others also understood the pros and cons, so while Uchiha's glory shouted, they also swooped over Zhaojian. Chang. A bunch of slashes. Between Zhaojian's wave of hands, he flung out suddenly. Instantly blocked the way they pursued. The Uchihas were shocked and dodged left and right. They didn't expect Zhaojian to react so quickly. Puff. There was a tearing sound of brocade soap. At the speed of the 2-to-1 rushing, another Uchiha was hit by the slash head. Uchiha. Defeat. Sarutobi Hiruzen's voice sounded again from outside the field. The remaining 3 Uchiha instantly felt their hearts sink to the bottom. But at this time, they had no room to regress, so they could only rush up again. Chang. A bunch of slashes were slammed by Zhaojian again. In an instant it blocked the front of their running, once again forcing them to dodge quickly. The 3 of them were itching with hatred, but they had nothing to do with Zhaojian's kendo. Come on, the battle is already very clear. Naruluju in the spectator stand shook his head and said, in the original 4-on-1 situation, the 2 sides could barely be even, but now there is another person in Uchiha, they are no longer able to revolving heaven. The next battle, if nothing happens, it will fall to Baiyun Zhaojian one-sidedly. Hearing the friend's assertion, Yamanaka Hai nodded a little. After all, his friend's IQ is one of the best in Konoha. The rest of the people who ate melons also booed for a while, lamenting that the Uchihas were about to lose. When the remaining 3 Uchiha escaped the slash and rushed up again. Zhaojian has also landed safely. At this moment, the situation of 1-on-3, he doesn't need to dodge at all. Bang bang bang. The 2 sides fought together again in close combat. After more than a dozen rounds, Zhaojian raised his foot and kicked Chunin out of the 3. Uchiha. Defeat. Outside the court, Sarutobi Hiruzen turned into a repeater and broadcast to everyone again. Uchiha Rongguang and Uchiha Yu fight the 2, now they are desperate. They are now struggling to support under the Zhaojian attack, feeling that they are almost unable to withstand it. I want to keep away from Zhaojian, but the current situation is the other way around. Because Zhaojian at this moment does not allow them to leave. Because of his victory, it is already in sight. Fight. Seeing that the defeat is set, Uchiha Rongguang suddenly gave up block and defense. Instead, he suddenly leaned his body forward, trying to forcibly look at Zhaojian, launching an illusion technique to create the last chance of victory. Boom. However, Uchiha Glorious just stretched out his staring eyes. In an instant, Zhaojian hit it with 2 punches. It was as if he had deliberately stretched out his face to beg. Ah! Uchiha Rongguang held his eyes in pain, and fell to the ground on the spot. Uchiha Glory. Defeat. It's over, it's over. Hearing the wailing of glory and the announcement of 3rd generation, Uchiha Yudo suddenly gave up resistance and directly surrendered. After all, Uchiha's side is now the only one left for him, and he sees no hope of victory. Baiyun Zhaojian. Win. Seeing Uchiha's actions, Sarutobi Hiruzen also directly announced the final result of this competition. The way he looked at Zhaojian at this time was also very different from before. Because of this competition, he had a clearer understanding of Zhaojian's strength. This is undoubtedly a cage-level powerhouse. Open black lens bracket ding. Special task. Defeat the door-to-door job seeker, which has been completed. Close black lens bracket. Task reward. 2,000 prestige points, now issued. Close black lens bracket. Just when Sarutobi Hiruzen announced the result, Zhaojian also heard the voice of task completion in his mind. It seems that you don't have the strength. Let me personally come and apologize. Zhao Jian pulled a sword flower and slowly returned the shinobi into the sheath, and at the same time a faint voice came out. At this moment, the battle was over, and all the Uchiha people gathered around and raised Uchiha's glory, who was covering his eyes and howling on the ground. After hearing what Zhao Jian said, a group of people felt a little frustrated. But what's the solution? In a 7-on-1 situation, they have all lost to each other. Seeing you are so pitiful, I will tell you one thing with pity. Seeing a group of Uchiha shoving their heads, Zhao Jian thought it better to explain. Although I am not afraid of anything Uchiha, but it can be annoying if you come to trouble yourself frequently. Although I don't know who is spreading words that slander your Uchiha clan, it is definitely not me. Quote. Question mark. Quote. What? After hearing Zhao Jian's unwavering words, Uchiha Rongguang suddenly raised a pair of pandas and looked at him in confusion. Not you. The fight is over, you said it wasn't you. If it's not you, what is the purpose of this competition? Is it purely a deliberate insult to directly wait for someone? Uchiha's glory was a little hard to accept, and said, if it weren't for you, then why did you say that as long as you defeated you, you can come to your door to make amends? Are you relying on your strength to deliberately humiliate us? After speaking, a faint anger spurted out of Uchiha's glorious eyes. But because of the panda's eyes, it seems that there is no sense of deterrence at all. The rest of Uchiha looked at Zhao Jian in confusion. Since there is no slander on Uchiha, what is his purpose? Could it come true as Uchiha Rongguang said? Are you deliberately humiliating yourself and others? Quote. I take the test. I would not explain it if I knew it. Zhao Jian's heart was speechless. He never thought about how to answer this kind of question. Is it possible to say that you are performing system tasks? All right. Just when Zhao Jian didn't know how to answer, third generation's voice rang, isn't this just you asking for trouble? If someone returns from the mission, you will come to your door aggressively to find trouble. Can you not make people angry? This. Upon hearing the words of third generation, a group of Uchiha looked at each other a little. But it seems to be the case. Seeing a group of Uchiha caught in self-blame and regret, Zhao Jian gave third generation a thumbs up in his heart. Since this has happened, I will go home. After speaking lightly, Zhao Jian turned and walked towards the entrance of the passage. Now that the system task has been completed, he doesn't want to stay here anymore, watching like a monkey. And many more. Sarutobi Hiruzen's voice suddenly came from behind Zhao Jian. The seal of reconciliation is not yet settled. Why always emphasize this thing? Zhao Jian turned around reluctantly. When everyone in Uchiha heard the words of third generation, they stood in a row again. However, in terms of momentum, it was completely different from the time when the seal of opposition was formed before. At this moment, they are like a group of roosters that have failed in a fight, and all of them are dejected. And in the center of the team, Uchiha's glory with a pair of panda eyes is extraordinarily funny. What are you doing, you bastards? Just as the two sides raised their left hands and were about to receive the seal of reconciliation, an old roar suddenly sounded. Zhao Jian clearly saw the Uchiha 7 on the opposite side, and they all trembled at the same time. Following the reputation, I saw a young man rushing in from the passage with an old man on his back. Great elder. A group of Uchiha shrank their necks, their voices stammered. 3. Lord third generation. After the old man was put down, he did not immediately yell at Uchiha Rongguang and others, but trembling, walked straight to Sarutobi Hiruzen. Lord third generation, these juniors are ignorant and trouble you, Mr. Third generation. Fortunately, the trial is over. Seeing a group of Uchiha after the old man arrived, they all turned into a group of obedient children. Zhao Jian immediately felt very wise for his quick decision. If it is dragged to the present, the system task is estimated to be yellow. Elder, you don't have to be so polite. Seeing that Elder Uchiha was so old and bowed to himself, third generation quickly helped him up. Although it is true that the Konoha executives are at odds with Uchiha, the work on the surface is also in place. These stubborn boys, after I go back, I will definitely train them, and I will never let them cause Konoha any more trouble. With the support of third generation, Grand Elder Uchiha also slowly straightened his waist. That's the best. The two parties exchanged greetings with each other, and then the Great Elder walked towards Uchiha Rongwang and the others. I didn't pay attention when I came before. At this time, I took a closer look and realized that each of them was slightly injured. You bastards, let you make trouble in Konoha. Bang bang bang. The Great Elder raised the cane in his hand and hit the group on the back. But Uchiha and others didn't dare to dodge, and they all accepted it in place. The Lord Third Generation, I will go back first. Let's go. When Uchiha Rongwang and others were beaten, Zhaojian left after saying goodbye to Sarutobi Hiruzen. He wasn't interested in watching a scene like a parent beating a naughty boy. However, Zhaojian is not interested, which does not mean that people are not interested in eating melons. After all, no matter where the giants are, it is always a hot topic, let alone the arrogant Uchiha clan. Captain Zhaojian. As soon as he left the Chunin exam venue, Zhaojian heard someone calling his name. Turning his head, he found out that it was Kakashi in a hospital gown. You don't stay in the hospital to recuperate, come here to join in the fun. Zhaojian was very surprised. He didn't expect Kakashi to be in the army of melon-eating people. If there was no me in the last mission, the captain might not need to break through and escape. Kakashi did not answer Zhaojian's question, but said something irrelevant. From the previous battle between Zhaojian and Uchiha, Kakashi finally knew how strong his captain was. It also understood that when the mission was besieged last time, it was actually himself that dragged down the captain. Hearing Kakashi's words, Zhaojian nodded and couldn't comment. Although at that time, he didn't have the eyes of Kagura and the bracelet of the Squid Girl, and his strength was not as strong as it is now. But relying on the strength of one-handed kendo master to kill all the enemies, there is still no big problem. The captain, please accept me as a disciple. Seeing that Zhaojian did not deny, Kakashi suddenly bent over 90 degrees and bowed to Zhaojian. Accept you as a disciple. Zhaojian looked astonished. I don't understand why Kakashi suddenly wanted to worship himself as a teacher. Yes, I want to be as strong as the captain. Kakashi didn't get up, but bent down more respectfully. Zhaojian hesitated. A genius taking the initiative to apprentice is indeed a thing that makes a person more face. But if he agrees to this time, he will have to take the responsibility of guiding him, and Zhaojian feels a little troublesome. Open black lens bracket ding. Trigger the serial task 1. Collect 1 apprentice, and the difficulty of the task is 1 star. Close black lens bracket. Complete the task. Reward 500 points of prestige. Close black lens bracket L. Nani. The sound in his head made Zhaojian a little confused. Today's system content is really dizzying. Not only did the hidden mission emerge, but now there is a serial mission. Will there be other types of tasks in the future? Well, I promised you. Since there is prestige to get, Zhaojian doesn't dislike the trouble. Thank you, Captain. No. Thank you, Teacher Zhaojian. Hearing that Captain Zhaojian was willing to accept Zhaojian as his apprentice, Kakashi suddenly became a little incoherent. Ding. Serial Task 1. Recruit 1 apprentice, which has been completed. Open black lens bracket task reward. 500 points of prestige are now issued. What a rewarding day. Hearing the sound of the system, Zhaojian felt very happy. From today the Uchihas came to look for things, and now accept Kakashi as a disciple. His prestige value rose from the original 600 to nearly 5,000, which was more than 7 times higher. Start the second serial task. The growth of the disciple. The disciple was promoted to Jonin level with 3 stars in difficulty. Complete the task. Reward 5,000 points of prestige. Just as Zhaojian felt happy, the voice of the system rang again. However, the difficulty of the task has been directly raised from 1 star to the level of 3 stars. It seems that this task cannot be completed in a short time. Hearing the content of the serial task 2, Zhaojian sighed secretly. But there was not much disappointment. After all, it was sooner or later that Kakashi was promoted to Jonin. Although I promised to accept you as a disciple, you should go to the hospital to recuperate first. Zhaojian patted Kakashi on the shoulder and said, when you recover from the injury, you will come to me again. After speaking, Zhaojian left the scene straight away. Inside the Chunin exam venue, Uchiha's Grand Elder, after beating Uchiha Rongwang a few people, then stopped out of breath. You bastards. The elder leaned on a cane, blowing his beard and staring. However, because of his age, he didn't have much power to start. Grand Elder, we know it was wrong. Yeah, Elder, we were all wrong. Each of the 7 Uchihas suffered several blows on the back. Although they didn't suffer any serious injuries, they also felt a hot pain. You were really good at it. Unexpectedly, you even challenged others 7-1. The elder was so tired that he gasped like a cow, and his voice was intermittent, as if he was about to faint at some point. Hearing the reprimand from the elder, several Uchihas turned pale and fell silent. 7 hits and 1 book is not glorious, not to mention that they are still the one who lost 7 hits and 1. You shouldn't treat each other. Seeing that all of them fell silent at the same time, the great elder suddenly felt bad for a while. Didn't it kill someone? If this is the case, then the matter is big. We lost to each other. Just as the elder was thinking about it, Uchiha Yuto gritted his teeth and finally spoke humiliatingly. Fortunately, no lives were lost. The great elder breathed a sigh of relief when he heard Uchiha Yuto's words. But he immediately noticed something was wrong, and reacted all of a sudden. What did you say? The tone of the great elder was full of incredible. He even wondered if he was getting older and had just misheard it. We were defeated by the other side. Uchiha Yuto said it again, then lowered his head with shame. The others are all looks like a cock that has lost a fight. You mean, the 7 of you were all defeated by the other party? The great elder's eyes widened in disbelief, and couldn't help confirming it again. Several Uchiha nodded, and the shame on their faces became deeper. The grand elder wanted to pick up the crutches and beat them again. Uchiha's face was completely defeated by them. But after thinking about it, he finally endured it. If at this time, I still beat them, it is likely to be criticized by others behind him, saying that Uchiha can't afford to lose. This will make Uchiha, who was already tainted, become even more messy. The elder took a deep breath, turned his head and looked around. He wants to see. Is this Baiyun Zhaojian who humiliated Uchiha with 1 enemy and 7, is it 3-headed and 6-armed? But when the elder looked around, he didn't see anyone other than 3rd generation and Uchiha. He's gone, just when you hit us just now. At this moment, Uchiha's glorious voice rang, explaining for the great elder. What? Hearing Uchiha's glorious words, the elder turned around and said in disbelief, could it be the young man just now? Right, Uchiha Rongguang answered again. At this moment, his heart is full of helplessness and suffering. It was the test he promised, so the biggest responsibility for ruining Uchiha's reputation is undoubtedly weighed on him. The big elder was stunned. He originally thought that someone with the strength to defeat the 7 should be at least 30 years old. Unexpectedly, it was the young man just now, who didn't seem to be completely out of childishness. Elder, you can't go to trouble others. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was smoking a pipe of cigarettes next to him, walked up slowly. And he said with comfort, although people really made you Uchiha lose face, this matter is that you made the mistake first, and you angered them first. The cracks between Konoha and Uchiha are big enough. Sarutobi Hiruzen doesn't want the Uchiha clan to produce any moths at this time. Therefore, his voice of consolation was also mixed with some warnings. The Lord 3rd generation said that when I go back, I will definitely discipline these wicked people. As for the misfortune they caused, I will come and apologize to the other party. Why can't the grand elder hear what Sarutobi Hiruzen said? So he also quickly expressed his own attitude. Well, that's fine. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded when he saw the great elder Uchiha was interesting. The elder bowed and said goodbye. Lord 3rd generation, I will first take these wicked people back to discipline. I have sent someone to notify the medical ninja, so please wait a while before leaving. After taking a look at the 7 Uchiha, each of them was injured, so Sarutobi Hiruzen kindly persuaded each other. This is not necessary. Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's words, the elder said with a bit of hatred for iron and steel, the injuries on their bodies, let them stay, and let them always remember their mistakes. Seeing the great elder's resolute tone, Sarutobi Hiruzen no longer held back. Go, the excitement is over. The crowd eating melons in the audience also got up and left. In fact, they had no reason to leave before. I just want to stay and see if Uchiha's elder will be very angry after knowing Uchiha's defeat in 7 games. It's a pity that they didn't get what they wanted and didn't see the melon they wanted. Chapter 31. After bidding farewell to Kakashi, Zhaojian went straight back home. However, he did not immediately use his existing prestige to draw a lottery. Because of his strength at this time, for the moment, is enough to protect himself. So he plans to store all these prestige points, and after he has collected 10,000 points, he will draw a better middle-level lottery. Call, cut a pot of tea. Zhaojian lay on the chair in his yard and enjoyed it leisurely. For the past 10 years, I have been practicing hard almost every day. So he has very little time to enjoy life so quietly. Now that the system is added, there is no need to practice hard anymore. So he plans to make up for himself all the comfort he hasn't enjoyed in these years. Tisk Tut drank a cup of tea. Zhaojian couldn't help but smashed his mouth. This is the life that travelers should have. In the past years, wherever I have been to a traverser, it is simply suffering. While the old god Zhaojian was there, lying on the chair comfortably and drinking tea, Konoha seemed uneasy in 2 places. Uchiha tribe, in Nanga Shrine. The 7 Uchihas, who had been brought back by the elders, were sitting obediently on the ground, accepting the accusations of the elders and the higher-ups. As the saying goes, good things do not go out, bad things spread for thousands of miles. Before their party returned to the clan, the news of their defeat in 7-on-1 had already been passed on. So on the way to Nanga Shrine, they suffered from countless clansmen's contempt, dislike, and even hatred. Look at the good deeds you have done, the faces of the Uchiha clan have all let you lose. Yeah, 7-on-1 is embarrassing enough, you can still lose to each other. You are just assholes of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha, when did we have such a big stain? Under the loud rebuke of a group of elders and high-level officials, Uchiha Rongguang and others were speechless. At this time they are also very ashamed and self-blame. After all, it was them who made the Uchiha clan ashamed and ashamed. All right, after Uchiha Rongguang and others were reprimanded for a while, the elder said leisurely. The mistake has already been committed, and no matter how you blame them at this time, it won't help. The most important thing now is how to quell this incident. Hearing the words of the great elder, an old man with gray hair stood up and said angrily. Is it so easy to spare them? He is also an elder of Uchiha, but if the seniority is compared with the great elder, it is far behind. I definitely won't let them go so easily. The great elder replied lightly. Seeing that the elders and high-level officials are ready to discuss how to punish themselves and others, Uchiha Glory gritted his teeth and raised his head with a pair of panda eyes. Grand Elder, this incident was caused by me taking the lead, and it was also my promise to compete with the other party in 7-1. If you want to punish, then punish me alone. After Uchiha Rongguang finished speaking, he lowered his head deeply and put it on the ground begging. This matter, he accounted for at least 80% of the responsibility. Almost everyone in the Uchiha clan now resents him very much. If you don't carry this matter down at this time, then wait until the elder's punishment comes down. He estimated that these few people around him would also have hatred towards him afterwards. Because it was their own opinion, it eventually hurt them. Good. See, Uchiha Rongguang is willing to take the initiative to admit his mistakes, and is willing to bear all punishments. In the heart of the great elder, there was so much relief for him. Although you took the initiative to take the responsibility, their faults cannot be unpunished. Let's do it. The elder thought for a while, and then continued. As the main responsibility, you should resign from the role of deputy captain of the security team. Then you go to the ancestral hall to pick up the 50 clan sticks, and you can stay at home for a full year. After listening to the words of the elder, Uchiha's Glory trembled, and his face turned pale. He had already expected that the position of deputy captain of the garrison was removed. But going to the ancestral hall to receive 50 big sticks made him a little scared. After all, in Uchiha now, almost all members of the clan hate him very much, not to mention the law enforcement officers in the family ancestral hall who value the glory of the family more than life. He estimated that when he came back from the ancestral hall, even if he didn't die, he would have to take off a layer of skin. But now that he has decided to take responsibility, Uchiha Rongwang finally gritted his teeth and nodded. The other 6 people felt a heavy pressure in their hearts when they heard Uchiha's key to the 50 clan sticks. As for you, the elder looked at the other 6 people, and said in a slow voice, you will each get 10 sticks, and then stay for 3 months. Yes, great elder. After hearing the punishment from myself and others, the other 6 Uchihas all let out a sigh of relief at the same time. Although 10 sticks are equally uncomfortable, after a few days of injury, you can almost heal. Seeing the eyes of the 6 of them looking at him, they were all faintly accompanied by a trace of gratitude, and Uchiha's glorious and fearful heart also felt a little comfort. Then next, let's talk. How to minimize the impact of this incident. After solving the punishment problem of Uchiha and others, the tone of the elder also became a little heavy. What they need to face now is a more difficult problem. That is the bad influence of the Uchiha 7 who came to find each other's troubles in broad daylight. This thing can be small or big. If those onlookers only saw this as a lively event, then Uchiha would lose some face at best. But if it is used by someone with a heart to spread it into a bully by the wealthy Uchiha, it would be really bad. After all, the gap between Konoha and Uchiha is big enough now. If it is used by someone who is interested, it may really catalyze a deeper contradiction. By then, it will not be as simple as losing face. Upon hearing the words of the great elder, a group of elders and high-level people fell silent. The younger generations in the clan may not know the subtle relationship between Uchiha and Konoha now. But as the elders and high-level members of the clan, how can they not know how powerful this is? Elder, I have a suggestion, maybe it can reduce the impact of this incident, don't you know if it should be said? When everyone was silent, Uchiha Fugaku stood up. He was originally not qualified to enter here because he was still too young. But after helping the great elder to come in, he did not withdraw, but stayed silently. Oh, hearing Fugaku's words, the elder's eyes lit up slightly. The other elders and senior officials also noticed that Fugaku had not left. You speak. The great elder raised his hand and gestured. He also wanted to see what kind of advice Fugaku had when everyone was silent. Seeing a group of high-level people gather their eyes, Fugaku felt a little excited. Because this is the first time he has participated in the discussion of the senior family members. Take a deep breath. Uchiha Fugaku raised his hand, pointed at the 7 people who were still sitting on the ground, and said calmly. Spread all the punishments against the 7 of them in the clan. What? Uchiha Fugaku has just finished speaking. Inside Nanga Shrine, there was a brief silence. Fugaku you. After reacting, Uchiha Glory 7 kneeling sitting on the ground. Suddenly they raised their heads in disbelief and stared at Uchiha Fugaku. Unexpectedly, he and others were so miserable, Fugaku actually wanted to spread the news, making himself and others even more embarrassed. The faces of a group of Uchiha high-level elders are also a little ugly. In their opinion, the ugliness of the family should not be kept up. It also spread out on purpose. Isn't this just to discredit the reputation of the Uchiha clan again? Everyone, please listen to me. Seeing that the faces of the elders and high-level officials were a little green, Uchiha Fugaku said quickly. Now because of this incident, our Uchiha clan has lost face. I don't need to care anymore, I will lose face 1 or 2 more things. If we spread all the punishments against them, then outsiders treat us very differently. At that time, people will know that our Uchiha clan is not a domineering clan, but a large and disciplined clan. In this way, isn't people's impression of Uchiha changed? It seems, this is indeed the case. I heard Uchiha Fugaku say in front that the Uchiha family does not need to face 1 or 2 words, and a group of high-level people still want to scold him. But when they heard the rest, they knew what Fugaku meant. If the news that Uchiha Rongwang and others were punished by the family is spread out, then not only can Uchiha win a good reputation for strict discipline, it can also let outsiders know that Uchiha Rongwang and others were punished for coming in Konoha. It proves that the Uchiha clan is not a giant who leans on the power. This was originally just a very simple method. But this group of senior officials and elders, because they care too much about Uchiha's reputation, they didn't think about it. It's that I have restricted my thinking. At this time, after Fugaku's reminder, they all woke up and suddenly realized. Ha 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 ha. Well. The great elder suddenly laughed. He also didn't expect that the problem of worrying about himself and others would be solved in such a simple way. Okay, just do what Fugaku said. The way the matter was resolved, the great elder also felt relaxed. The eyes he looked at Fugaku were full of approval. Agree, I agree. Everyone agreed, except for the 7 people who were kneeling on the ground. Because they will have one more topic that is slandered. Now that they all agree, let's go away. The elder waved his hand and said, tomorrow I have to come to the door myself to make amends with Baiyun Zhaojian. What, Grand Elder, are you kidding me? When hearing the first half of the words of the great elder, a group of people stood up cheerfully. But as soon as the second half came out, it was like a thunder that blasted into their hearts. Come personally to apologize to a guy who has brought shame to his family. They all doubted, did they misheard it? However, the reactions of the surrounding companions undoubtedly confirmed that none of them had auditory hallucinations. You don't have to dissuade me, this is what I personally promised to Master Third Generation before. The great elder raised his cane and slowly went to the layman of Nanga Shrine. Quote. The heads of the Uchiha Glory 7 fell again humiliatingly. If it weren't for the misfortune they caused, ever needed the great elder to do this kind of depressing thing. While Uchiha was discussing matters, Sarutobi Hiruzen also came to the underground palace at the root. He came to ask Danzo why he had to assign root members to deliberately frame Baiyun Zhaojian. But after asking for a long time, Danzo didn't explain the matter to him. Sarutobi Hiruzen scolded Danzo a little annoyed. After warning him not to provoke Baiyun Zhaojian, he left the nest at the root. Time flies. 3 days have passed since Zhaojian and Uchiha's competition. In these 3 days, every time Zhaojian went out, someone he knew or did not know came up to greet him. And his prestige value is also rising. This makes Zhaojian weird. Because when he was at home, his prestige did not change at all. Why did the prestige increase unexpectedly when he went out? After some inquiries with the system, Zhaojian only found out. It turns out that if you want to gain the prestige of others, it is not just to spread your reputation. Also let others know what he looks like. If you only hear the name and don't know the person, the various emotions that others have towards yourself are like a headless fly without a purpose, and it can never fly on itself. After clarifying the system's restrictions on obtaining the prestige of others. In the past 3 days, Zhaojian had a lot of people there, so I went there. And his prestige value also soared crazy because more people knew his face. In just 3 days, Zhaojian's prestige value rose from nearly 5,000 to nearly 8,000. But also because Zhaojian has been hanging around outside for 3 days. So he didn't know, Uchiha Grand Elder came to him twice and asked him to apologize. Because he is not at home at all. Kunkunkin. Just when Zhaojian was about to go out to reap a wave of prestige. The sound of knocking on the door suddenly rang. Who? Zhaojian yelled suspiciously. At the same time, he walked towards the door of his house. Teacher Zhaojian, I am Kakashi, I am cured and discharged. A respectful voice came through the door from outside. Kakashi. Zhaojian suddenly realized. These 2 days have been wandering around to collect prestige points. I have forgotten, I have already accepted Kakashi as a disciple. Teacher Zhaojian, according to your request, I have come to you. After the door was opened, Kakashi saluted Zhaojian respectfully. Get up, no need to bow. Zhaojian punched his eyes up and down, looked at Kakashi again, and he was cured. Although teaching people, it is indeed a very troublesome thing. But now that Kakashi has been accepted as a disciple, Zhaojian will also fulfill his teacher's responsibilities and guide him well. After all, he has become his own disciple. The more promising he is, the more face he is not. Yes, Teacher Zhaojian. Hearing Zhaojian's easy-going words, Kakashi responded and straightened his waist. Teacher, when do we start training? After getting up, Kakashi couldn't wait to ask. After staying in the hospital for 3 days, he felt that he was about to succumb to illness. However, he was honest, and stayed in the hospital until he was fully recovered according to Zhaojian's request. Now you can start. Zhaojian thought for a while, then said to Kakashi. He intends to harvest a wave of prestige in a while. Since Kakashi is in such a hurry, I should first give him a training course. Yes, Teacher Zhaojian. Kakashi's voice responded with excitement. Closing the door, Zhaojian took Kakashi to Konoha Mountain. At the same time, he was thinking in his heart how he should teach Kakashi. Ms. Zhaojian, do I need to buy a shinobi sword? Just when Zhaojian was lost in thought, Kakashi asked suddenly. After returning to his senses, Zhaojian realized that the two were about to pass by the door of a cutting tool shop at this time. Do you want to learn kendo? Zhaojian returned to his senses, and turned to ask Kakashi in surprise. After all, the progress of kendo is not as simple as ninjutsu. Many people have failed to achieve great success in kendo in their entire lives because kendo needs to break through various artistic concepts. The difficulty of this is not much simpler than controlling an S-level ninjutsu. And this is still a process that takes a long time. But, is it possible? In Kakashi's dead fish eyes, there was a rare and strong expectation. In the past 3 days in Konoha Hospital, he always thought of the scene where Zhaojian smashed 3 rock shinobi with a single blow. In his heart, there is a bit of excitement and can't help himself. After all, he has now worshipped Zhaojian as his teacher, and he also has a slight chance that he may learn that explosive stunt. Yes, it's okay. Zhaojian did not reject Kakashi, but solemnly said, but you have to think clearly, kendo is not as simple as you think. Thank you, teacher Zhaojian. Hearing that the teacher agreed to teach himself kendo, Kakashi bowed with excitement. Looking at the excited Kakashi, Zhaojian sighed secretly. Since he wants to learn kendo, then teach him himself. If after a period of time, his kendo hasn't improved much, it is okay to interrupt his kendo to teach him other things. Teacher Zhaojian, I'm going to buy a knife first. Kakashi, who saluted and got up, turned around to go to the ninja shop to buy a knife, but Zhaojian stopped him. You don't have to buy a knife. I will give you this one. Zhaojian pulled out the shinobi from his waist, turned it backhand and handed it to Kakashi. I used this knife. What about you, teacher? Just when Kakashi was a little confused. The moment Zhaojian raised his hand, an exquisite samurai sword appeared out of thin air. What did you say? Zhaojian asked with some doubts. Just after he was in the communication system, he took out the weapon in the system backpack. I really didn't hear what Kakashi was talking about. No. Nothing. Kakashi's face was stunned and shocked. This is too fast, right? There are no signs at all. Thinking that Zhaojian was a weapon taken out of the storage volume, Kakashi immediately fell into his brain. Since you want to learn kendo, then I will tell you a few realms of kendo first. Zhaojian and Kakashi sat opposite each other in a valley on Konoha. The knowledge of kendo came from Zhaojian's mouth slowly, but Kakashi's brows wrinkled deeper and deeper. Cut the iron, cut steel, listen to the sound of everything. The realm of the unity of man and sword. Listening to the teacher's words, many words that have never been heard, Kakashi's blind eyes are a little sluggish. His father was also a good swordsman before his death, and Hatake swordsmanship was once famous in the ninja world. But he had never heard his father say such unfamiliar words. The above is the realm that I can currently control. After speaking, Zhaojian looked at Kakashi and saw that the confusion on his face became more intense. This is not to blame him, after all, the mainstream of this world is chakra. The knowledge of kendo is really scarce. Now let me show you the effects that these realms can have. Yes, Kakashi responded and stood up after Zhaojian. At this time, his face was a bit solemn, and he didn't expect the difficulty of kendo training to be so great. Kang, rumble. Between Zhaojian's wave of hands, a bunch of slashes took off and flew out. Wherever the slash passed, 2 thick buckets of trees were instantly chopped and collapsed. No chakra. Kakashi's eyes widened, his face full of disbelief. When Zhaojian competed with Uchiha before, Kakashi was too far apart in the audience, so he didn't see the essence of the slash. At this moment, seeing it up close, he suddenly felt that his cognition had been subverted. A slash is a slash, what a slash with chakra? Zhaojian replied very pretentiously. Then he continued, this is the realm of the unity of humans and swords. As long as you reach this realm, you will be able to slash. Next, I will show you the realm of Zongdong. There is no real steel here, so after Zhaojian finished speaking, he walked to a rock that looked very hard. Concentrating on his breath, he slightly adjusted his current state. An omnipotent state of mind gradually radiated from Zhaojian's body. Chang. A soft whistle flashed. Zhaojian slowly returned the katana into its sheath, and walked backwards. Seeing that the stone did not move at all, Kakashi stepped up to check it curiously. Wah! Just when he was about to walk in front of the stone, the upper body of the stone suddenly slid slowly, and finally fell to the ground with a bang. I saw the upper part of the stone was cut in half with a diagonal knife, and the cut surface was extremely smooth. Guru. Okay, so awesome. Kakashi reached out and touched the cut rock face, his throat rolled unconsciously. This is the realm of Zongong. Zhaojian's voice came from behind Kakashi. Hearing his voice weird, Kakashi turned around. I saw Zhaojian standing upside down under a branch, tying several little finger-thick cotton threads to it. Teacher Zhaojian, what are you doing? Leaving the stone, Kakashi walked up curiously. This is the course you practiced today. After tying a dozen lines on the branch, Zhaojian jumped off the tree. He didn't plan to teach Kakashi the actual combat experience of kendo, but he planned to let him start with the simplest swordsmanship. But this swing is not an ordinary swing. This is a training course. Looking at the lines falling vertically from the tree, Kakashi was very puzzled. Don't underestimate these lines. If you cut them all away, it will probably take several hours. Choke. Zhaojian didn't finish speaking. Kakashi immediately drew his sword. He cut a line in half in an instant, and then turned his head to look at Zhaojian with a bewildered look. I asked you to cut it off, not to cut it off. Seeing Kakashi's actions, Zhaojian suddenly complained speechlessly. If it's just so simple to cut the lines, this is what kind of cultivation? I'll show it to you again. Seeing Kakashi's expression still confused, Zhaojian doubted whether he was a so-called genius. Go under a line. Zhaojian held the knife in both hands and raised it above his head. Then with a swish, he quickly waved forward. Tear and pull. There was a slight noise. From top to bottom, Zhaojian split the line into two halves. Understand now. Zhaojian turned his head and saw Kakashi's original expression. Understood. Kakashi nodded, feeling ashamed in his heart. I thought so stupidly that it was so simple to cut the line. If you understand, you can try it. Zhaojian stepped back helplessly and gave up his position to Kakashi. Ha! Kakashi, who came forward, swung more than a dozen knives in a row. However, the end result was that none of the lines were cut. Either the line did not hit, or the line was cut off by accident. Reduce the speed and frequency of swinging the knife. Lower it for me. Give your attention and spirit. Improve both. Zhaojian turned into a harsh teacher, making Kakashi a little sweaty for a while. According to his request, Kakashi finally broke the first line after slashing dozens of knives. But at this time, Kakashi, because his attention has been kept highly concentrated, after splitting the first line, he was also sweating and slumped on the ground. Not bad. Zhaojian verbally praised Kakashi. Thanks. Thank you, teacher Zhaojian. After receiving Zhaojian's approval, Kakashi breathed out and answered with a sigh of relief in his heart. After your physical strength recovers, you continue to practice, and I will come back to check on you later. It's Teacher Zhaojian. After explaining Kakashi, Zhaojian returned to the village. He has to wander around and continue to collect a wave of prestige points. Wandering around the village all afternoon, Zhaojian collected it again, nearly 1,000 points of prestige. At dusk, when he came to Konohagayama again, Kakashi had cut away all the lines. In addition, he tied a few more lines on himself and over-completed the training course set by Zhaojian. After complimenting Kakashi, Zhaojian announced the end of today's practice. At this time, Kakashi's arm was a bit unable to lift. In order to prevent any muscle strain from causing some irreversible sequelae, Zhaojian took Kakashi to Konoha Hospital again for examination. Finally, the result is that the exercise is too much. If it is in other worlds, this problem is estimated to have to rest for several days. But in this world, this is just a simple question. After some medical ninjutsu treatment, Kakashi's arm was raised again. After being separated from Kakashi in the hospital, Zhaojian then headed towards his home. This guy, wouldn't it be deliberately avoiding us again? It's so damn it, this is the third time. Elder, it's almost dark this day, or let's go back. Outside the gate of Zhaojian's house, several Uchiha tribesmen are standing by the door waiting for Zhaojian to return, and they still make complaints from time to time. Shut up all to me. The elder turned his head and yelled. Although he was also a little angry, Zhaojian actually let them rush 3 times. But everything is no more than 3 things, so what they say today must continue to wait. If they leave again this time, then next time they come, it will appear that their Uchiha is very low. Come here, the great elder. Baiyun Zhaojian is back. At this moment, a sharp-eyed Uchiha saw Zhaojian from a long distance away, so he quickly reminded the great elder with excitement. Same. Zhaojian was also far away and saw a group of Uchiha people standing in front of his house. Zhaojian's brows frowned, his face a little gloomy. Only a few days later, Uchiha actually came to trouble herself again. Zhaojian thought that Uchiha was coming to look for trouble, and suddenly walked up with a black face. You Uchiha, it's really endless, right? You still want to make trouble. As he approached the Uchihas, Zhaojian opened his mouth and yelled. No one is muddy, not to mention that if it is really muddy, then there is also a 3-point anger. Uchiha came to the door one after another, making his heart raging. A group of Uchihas filled the eagle with outrage. Unexpectedly, I waited for a long time and finally waited for Baiyun Zhaojian. However, as soon as the other party showed up, he yelled at himself and others. All right, seeing the emotions of the younger generations in the clan, some of them tended to the edge of the explosion, the elder hurriedly rebuked them and stopped them all. Today is here to make amends, but we can't make any more extravagances. If you make a big mess again this time, the consequences will be really unthinkable. When Grand Elder Uchiha's voice sounded, Zhaojian discovered that there was an elderly man in the crowd. It is the Grand Elder Uchiha who I met at the Chunin venue before. Little friend, we are not here to make trouble. Seeing Zhaojian shifting his gaze to him, Elder Uchiha quickly said, we are here to apologize sincerely. What, apology? Hearing what the great elder said, Zhaojian couldn't help but feel a little suspicious. I stepped on Uchiha's reputation, but Uchiha actually came to apologize to himself. There is no way in it. It is said that people are old and good, and Zhaojian's suspicion suddenly increased a bit when he saw that the old age was not too young. Right, the elder nodded and smiled kindly. For the ignorant juniors in the clan, I have come to apologize to you. Yeah, we have been looking for you for 2 days, but you are not at home. At this time, a Uchiha youth interrupted and said something. He was also a little angry. The rich apologized to the civilians, but he couldn't find anyone again and again. I want you to talk more. The great elder suddenly turned his head and yelled at the young man. Zhaojian stared at them for a long while silent. Seeing that they didn't look like a fake, and seeing melons gradually surrounded them. The so-called not-hitting smiley people with one's hand, since people come to apologize, it is not good to let them cool at the door. Thinking of this, Zhaojian also smiled and said, if this is the case, please come in first. After speaking, Zhaojian crossed the crowd, walked to his door and opened the door. Well, the great elder quickly responded with a smile. If he could go in and apologize, he wouldn't have to get embarrassed outside at his age, which could not be better. But when the elder leaned on crutches and was about to lift his heel to Zhaojian, his body suddenly froze in place, as if he was struck by thunder. Elder, are you okay? Seeing that the elder's behavior was a little weird, Zhaojian asked suspiciously. No, nothing, the old man just stood for a long time, his legs are a little numb. Zhaojian's mouth twitched. How long have you been standing in front of my house? After the elder's legs recovered, he followed Zhaojian into the house. As for the other Uchiha people, he was ordered to wait outside. Because the juniors are not sensible, they offended the little friends by playing around in Konoha, and the old man took them here to apologize to the little friends. Zhaojian took the great elder to the yard, turned back to the house and brought out a pot of tea, when the great elder suddenly bowed his waist. Can't make it. Zhaojian took a leap to help the great elder who hadn't been bent over. He didn't suffer any loss in this matter, and he also gained a wave of prestige points. Since Uchiha's elders have come to apologize, Zhaojian also hopes that this matter can be exposed. Elder, please sit down. After helping the great elder up, Zhaojian motioned to him. Thank you little friend for a lot. Seeing that Zhaojian did not hold Uchiha Rongguang and others accountable, the great elder breathed a sigh of relief and sat down. To be honest, after waiting so long outside Zhaojian's house, his throat was also a little dry. At this moment, seeing the teapot brought out by Zhaojian, he couldn't help but slam his old mouth. Looking at the humble elder, Zhaojian felt that he was nothing like Uchiha, because he did not have a trace of Uchiha's arrogance. Guru, Guru, Guru. But the elder. Zhaojian added a cup of tea to the elder, and then his voice slowly said, although I forgive them, you have to take care of them. After all, if there is such a trouble in Konoha, sooner or later, you will burn yourself. Zhaojian was not suggesting anything to him, and he didn't want to interfere with Uchiha's affairs. But he didn't want that Uchiha's elders came to apologize to himself. The next day, what happened to Uchiha's junior, who couldn't figure it out, and suddenly came to the door to find trouble for him and the like. This can be regarded as a secret warning. What the little friend said is that they have been severely punished by the old man. Hearing what Zhaojian said, the elder sighed in his heart. At this time, the Uchiha clan also broke his heart. That's it. After Zhaojian responded, the two chatted with each other. I thought that the purpose of the great elder was achieved, and he should leave soon. Unexpectedly, after the two chatted a few words, the conversation of the great elder suddenly opened. Zhaojian had no choice but to accompany him to continue chatting. Uchiha Fugaku succeeded in the last family meeting. Saved some face for the Uchiha clan. So he was promoted by senior officials and elders to become the new deputy captain of the garrison, replacing the original position of Uchiha's glory. After patrolling, he returned to the clan from the Konoha Security Department. He heard the remarks that the great elder went to find Baiyun Zhaojian to make amends, but he still hadn't come back when it got dark. Fugaku was a little worried about the great elder, so he followed the direction of Zhaojian's house to find the past. Where is the great elder? When he first arrived outside Zhaojian's house, Fugaku saw the guards of the elder, but the elder was not among them. Vice Captain Fugaku. Vice Captain Fugaku. Seeing Uchiha Fugaku, the guards of the elder greeted each other. One of the guards responded, Vice Captain Fugaku, the Grand Elder is inside at this time. He has been in for a long time. The Great Elder went in alone. Fugaku frowned, his face a little ugly. Because after looking around, he found that all the guards of the Great Elder were here. Yes, the Great Elder won't let us follow. Sensing Fugaku's expression of displeasure, the guard hurriedly explained it. It's not that they take it lightly, but the Great Elder insists on going alone. Hearing the explanation from the guard, Fugaku shook his head and sighed. The Grand Elder is also true. Isn't he not clear about his position in Uchiha? How can he not bring a guard with him? Just when Fugaku felt helpless, he didn't know the content of the chat. He had already apologized from the previous apologize and talked about the strange content. Time goes by. After some conversation, the Grand Elder found out. Zhaojian is not only powerful, but also stable and excellent in conversation. It's not like a young man who has just grown up. In his heart, the elder secretly compared Uchiha's youth with Zhaojian. It turns out that no one among the Uchiha clan can be compared. Although the Great Elder is old, his thoughts turn quickly. At this time, he suddenly wanted to befriend Zhaojian very much. That's right, little friend Zhaojian, do you have a girlfriend? Noting that Zhaojian's house didn't even have the breath of a woman, the Great Elder immediately came to his heart and opened his mouth to ask. What do you mean? Zhaojian's hands raising a cup of tea suddenly stiffened in the air, and his face was a little dark. Is this mocking yourself for being a single dog? But this is not right, my body is only 18 years old at this time. Isn't it normal to have no girlfriend at the age of 18? This shouldn't be something embarrassing, right? That's right, the old man has a granddaughter and the eldest is not too young. If the little friend doesn't have a girlfriend, the old man is willing to introduce you to each other. Although I don't understand why Zhaojian's face is getting darker, but the elder still said truthfully. What? Zhaojian's black face instantly turned into bewilderment. Do you want to introduce me to someone? The other party or your granddaughter? What is this all about? Why has the content of this chat become more and more weird? Although the old man's granddaughter's name is not as good as a fairy, but among the women in the clan, it is also beautiful and virtuous. After talking freely for a long time, seeing that Zhao Jian was still in a daze, the elder asked again. Little friend, you haven't told the old man, do you have a girlfriend? This. Zhao Jian hesitated. When he was about to reject the great elder's kindness, the great elder spoke again. Oh, right, the old man hasn't told you the name of the old man's granddaughter. The old man's granddaughter is called Makoto. What? Zhao Jian sat up in shock. Some dare not say, Makoto. Uchiha Makoto. What? Does the little friend know the old man's granddaughter? Seeing Zhao Jian's surprised look, the great elder suddenly became interested. More than acquaintance. Your granddaughter also saw my fruit a few days ago. Body. Zhao Jian murmured secretly. However, his heart was slightly moved at this time. After all, he has seen Uchiha Makoto, that figure and temperament are all leveraged. Thinking of the graceful and beautiful figure, and the temperament of the ladies, Zhao Jian couldn't help but exuberant. Although his body is only 18 years old, his heart is a mature man. A girl with a temperament like Makoto is undoubtedly attractive to him. Seeing Zhao Jian's expression, from the original surprise to hesitation, and then from hesitation to intent, there was a burst of excitement in the heart of the great elder. If Zhao Jian has no girlfriend and agrees to it, so not only did he find an excellent husband-in-law for his granddaughter. At the same time, the Uchiha family won a strong cage level 4 in aid. Finally, the impact of this incident can be reduced to a minimum again, so that the Uchiha clan can once again save some face. This is simply killing 3 birds with 1 stone, a good thing with no disadvantages. This. Zhao Jian hesitated for a moment, and said a little moved, I don't have a girlfriend, but the elder, this man and woman matter is about you and me. It's fine if there isn't, it's fine if there isn't. Hearing Zhao Jian's words, the elder was overjoyed and said, Go back tonight, and the old man will try to persuade my granddaughter. Looking at the great elder who was full of joy, Zhao Jian felt a strange feeling in his heart. This woman didn't even know, the elders in the family agreed. Does this count as if you have defeated the boss without conquering the level? Poor Fugaku, who is outside the door at this moment, doesn't know. A true goddess who should have belonged to him, under the intentional promotion of the elder, has no fate with him. Since you agree with my little friend, the old man will also go back first. Seeing that it was too early, the elder also got up to say goodbye to Zhao Jian. At this time, he wanted to go home quickly to seek the opinions of his granddaughter. Hey, great elder, I will send you. Zhao Jian quickly stood up and saw him off. If I really got into trouble with Makoto, then this is my elder, and now he can't be careless. Seeing Zhao Jian's actions, the elder became more satisfied. Correct. As if something suddenly appeared, the elder said to Zhao Jian, Tomorrow you will be a guest at the old man's house, and let you taste Makoto's cooking. Is it appropriate for me to go to Uchiha? Zhao Jian asked hesitantly. After all, I just made Uchiha lose face. Going to Uchiha at this time will not create any contradictions again. It's okay, no problem. The great elder patted his chest and vowed to frankly said, You will come at noon tomorrow, and the old man will personally greet you at the gate of the Uchiha clan. I see who dares to be presumptuous. If that's the case, it's hard to be gracious. Seeing that the elder was so enthusiastic, Zhao Jian did not refuse. At this time, the two also walked to the door of Zhao Jian's house. Great elder! Great elder! After the door opened, several Uchiha shouted again and again. But when the great elder came out, everyone looked puzzled. Because the two elders and Zhao Jian both smiled at this time and looked like they were talking very happily. The old man will leave first, remember to come over tomorrow. The grand elder ignored the Uchihas, and instead waved to Zhao Jian happily after going out. Hey, great elder, go slowly. Zhao Jian can also wave his hand politely. A group of Uchihas looked dumbfounded and didn't understand why they were so polite. After sending away Grand Elder Uchiha, Zhao Jian closed the door and turned back. At this moment, he is still in the mist. Is my 10-year career as a single dog coming to an end? Makoto. After returning to the Uchiha clan, the elder hurried back to his home. Pushing the door open, he couldn't wait to yell in his old voice. "Grandpa, why did you come back so late? The food is cold." A gentle voice with a hint of blame sounded. The entrance door was opened, and Uchiha Makoto, who was graceful, walked out. "Makoto, come here." The elder took Makoto's wrist, and after the two entered the room and sat down, he smiled and said, "Grandpa has found you an object." "Grandpa, why are you saying this again?" Before the grand elder finished speaking, he was interrupted by Makoto with a helpless look. Obviously, this is not the first time he has done such a thing. But for those young talents from the so-called clan introduced by Grandpa, she really didn't take a fancy to any one of them. Because from their bones, they are exuding arrogance all the time, that's not the type she likes. "Hey, don't worry." Seeing that Makoto was a little unpleasant, the elder hurriedly said, "This time I'm going to introduce to you, it's not a child of the clan." Makoto's pretty face was dumbfounded. The objects that the elder has always introduced to her are undoubtedly all Uchiha youths. So she should have thought that this time she would also be a Uchiha youth, but she didn't expect it to be an outsider. This time, her curiosity was aroused. I don't know which person from outside the clan got his grandfather's special look. It's the one that has been raged recently. Baiyun Zhaojian. Seeing Makoto's curiosity, the elder didn't appetite for her, but directly said it. "Grandpa. You mean?" Makoto's pretty face was covered with disbelief. After all, this name, at this time in the Uchiha clan, is nothing short of thunderous. "Right." The elder nodded cheerfully, confirming her mind. I said I'm not an exhibitionist. You believe it?" The figure of a fruit man subconsciously flashed through Makoto's mind. 2 red clouds suddenly rose above her cheeks. "But Grandpa." In order to conceal his embarrassment, Makoto hurriedly lowered his head and said in a low voice, that guy is not right to Uchiha." Makoto didn't finish her words, the grand elder already knew what she was going to say. So he smiled and waved his hand and said, "Ha ha ha, he did make Uchiha lose some face, but this matter will pass soon." Halfway through the conversation, the elder realized that Makoto kept his head down. So weirdly asked, "Makoto, why are you lowering your head?" "No. Nothing." Hearing Grandpa's question, Makoto's head was buried deeper. "Since you don't refuse, then you agree," the elder said cheerfully, the smile on his face was even brighter. This night, Makoto lost sleep. She didn't know how she felt about Baiyun Zhaojian. Obviously, the other party made the Uchiha clan look bad. Obviously, my grandfather came to apologize repeatedly. But when she thought of that fruit man, she didn't have a trace of hatred or anger. In the end, she could only attribute the result to the fact that Uchiha Rongguang and others came to the house to make trouble, and Baiyun Zhaojian also went to the victim. In the same way, Zhaojian tossed over and over again this night, it was difficult to fall asleep. Maybe it's because the single is too long. It may also be the reason why I really like Makoto. So he also has insomnia. The next day, Zhaojian, who did not sleep well, was awakened by a knock on the door. Opening the door with sleepy eyes, I saw Kakashi standing outside. "Teacher Zhaojian." Seeing Zhaojian, who yawned, Kakashi was very confused. During the last mission, he had never seen the teacher so sleepy when he was on the night shift watch rest. Why is it yawning today? Obviously not sleeping well. "Oh, it's Kakashi." With a refreshing spirit, Zhaojian said, "Today you will practice according to yesterday's method. If the teacher has something to do today, I won't urge you." "Yes, Teacher Zhaojian," Kakashi replied helplessly. But since the teacher has something to do, he can only practice on his own. After bidding farewell to Zhaojian, Kakashi turned and left. He decided to split more than 30 lines today. Zhaojian returned to the house, looked up at the clock on the wall, and started washing up. After all, it's the first time to go to the woman's house for a banquet, so I must make a good impression. At noon, when Zhaojian arrived at the Uchiha station as scheduled, the elder had been waiting for a long time in front of the gate of the clan estate. "Little friend. You are finally here." Seeing Zhaojian appear, the great elder immediately greeted him. "Elder, let you wait a long time." Zhaojian also responded with a smile quickly. "I haven't waited long. I haven't waited long. The Grand Elder was polite, and then eagerly took Zhaojian into the Uchiha clan. He didn't have the usual majesty as a big elder of a clan, as if he was just a kind old man. Who is that guy? He actually needs the Great Elder to meet him personally. I do not know. The two young men who were on duty at the gate of Uchiha looked dumbfounded. Because of their work, they can't walk around at will, so they don't know that the person who accompanied the elder to enter just now is Baiyun Zhaojian, who has been popular in the clan in the past few days. Zhaojian followed the Great Elder into the Uchiha clan, and more Uchiha people were encountered. Because of the reason that he wandered around to gain prestige in the past few days, there are naturally many Uchiha people who know Zhaojian when they go out. As a result, more and more people began to whisper and point. But because Zhaojian was brought by the Great Elder, no one dared to step forward and make trouble. Makoto. The Grand Elder took Zhaojian to a mansion in the hinterland of Uchiha. Then he knocked on the door and looked at Zhaojian with shame. Grandfather. Just now, a melodious and tactful voice came out from the mansion like a trickle of spring water. Immediately after the door was opened, Makoto also slowly caught Zhaojian's eyes. Although she was wearing a simple home clothes and a loose fence around her body, none of these could conceal her graceful posture. Makoto, come here, let me introduce you. Elder, let's go in and talk about it. Looking at Makoto with red cheeks and the Uchiha people curiously watching, Zhaojian quickly interrupted the elder. After all, girls are quite easy to be shy, and it is a bit wrong to say it to the public. Yes. Look at me, I've forgotten everything about this joy, go to the house. The elder happily held Zhaojian, and the two of them walked past Makoto together and entered the mansion. Makoto secretly breathed a sigh of relief before closing the door and turning around to follow. Come here. The Grand Elder took Zhaojian directly into the living room. And at this time, the dining table in the living room was already full of dishes. I tell you, these are all made by Makoto. After the three of them were seated, the elder lavishly praised his granddaughter's craftsmanship. Sure enough, it would be nice to have a woman in a family. Seeing the full of delicacies, Zhaojian couldn't help feeling in his heart. Since the death of his parents, he hasn't seen so many dishes for a long time. He usually finishes very few things, so he can cook so much food. By the way, why didn't you see your uncle and auntie? Entering the house for a while. Finding that the house of Nuoda, there seemed to be only the elder and Makoto, so Zhaojian was slightly curious. Hearing Zhaojian's words, the elder sighed and said, Makoto's parents were killed in the last Ninja World War, so this child has lost his parents since he was a child. Forehead. Zhaojian was speechless for a while. Unexpectedly, when he opened his mouth, he asked a poisonous spot. Fortunately, Makoto didn't look too sad, maybe she was used to it. Correct. In order to redeem his mistake, Zhaojian quickly stood up and said to Makoto. When I met for the first time, I didn't know what gift to give, I hope you don't mind it. In Zhaojian's raised hands, as if by magic, a bunch of bright red roses suddenly appeared. Ah! Makoto exclaimed as the fragrance of flowers came from the shop. When Zhaojian raised her empty hands, she was still wondering what the gift was and where is the gift. Unexpectedly, a bunch of roses suddenly changed. Hurry up, what are you doing? Seeing Makoto staring at Rose blankly, the elder hurriedly reminded him. This. Makoto hesitated. The meaning of roses is almost self-evident. If you accept it, it is tantamount to accepting the other's will. However, the two usually don't have much intersection, and she doesn't know how she feels about Zhaojian. When the Great Elder was secretly anxious, Makoto secretly gave Zhaojian a glance, and then took the flower down with a blushing face. Call. Seeing Makoto accept the rose, Zhaojian also secretly breathed a sigh of relief. To be honest, he actually regretted it when he took out a bunch of roses. Because the first time we meet in this format, one gift is enough. You can express your importance without making the other person feel embarrassed. I quickly handed out a bunch, feeling that I was really low. Good, eat. The Great Elder smiled and rounded the field, and the scene was relieved. This tempura is really good. After the three of them moved their chopsticks, Zhaojian immediately praised Makoto without hesitation. This is not flattering, but she really did it well, and it was even better than Zhaojian's memory of her mother's. How? I didn't lie to you. Hearing Zhaojian's praise, the great elder also smiled with a glorious look. Hokage building, inside Hokage office. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was reviewing documents, suddenly heard a knock on the door. Come in. Putting down what was in his hands, third generation raised his head and shouted. I saw an Anbu wearing a mask, opened the door and walked in. Master Hokage. After entering Hokage's office, Anbu Ninja knelt on one knee and reported, Anbu, who is monitoring the Uchiha clan, has received news that Baiyun Zhaojian has just entered the Uchiha clan. What did you say? Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly raised his head immediately below, with some question marks still hanging on his head. What is that guy going to Uchiha for? Will there be any conflict with Uchiha again? Thinking of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen hurriedly asked, do you know what his purpose is? I don't know the specific reason. Anbu Ninja replied respectfully. However, according to the news, it was Uchiha's elder who came out to greet him personally. Grand Elder Uchiha greeted him personally. Hearing Anbu's report, Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned in confusion. But since the great elder greeted him personally, it shouldn't be a contradiction. Thinking of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen breathed a sigh of relief, and then waved Anbu back. Uchiha tribe, in the home of Uchiha Grand Elder. After eating, the elder strayed freely for a reason. Deliberately leaving time for the two protagonists to get along alone. After the initial awkward chat, Zhaojian and Makoto also talked more and more smoothly. Although the two of them did not graduate from ninja school in the same class, they also attended ninja school at the same time. It's just a difference between the upper and lower grades, so naturally there are also topics to talk about. As the chat progressed, Zhaojian became more aware of Makoto's character. This is a gentle, kind, virtuous, but also a little shy girl. Zhaojian copied a joke from a previous life from time to time, and could make her laugh for a long while. It's too early, so I will go back today. Seeing the dusk had come, Zhaojian could only slowly stand up and bid Makoto farewell. Although he still wants to continue the conversation, he also understands the truth. Only by grasping a certain degree can you get a higher impression score. I'll give it to you. Makoto stood up with a blushing face. She was really happy today, and spent almost an afternoon in laughter from time to time. She also did not expect that Zhaojian, who looked cold on the outside, was so humorous on the inside. Zhaojian was naturally very happy when he heard that Makoto wanted to give himself away. It seems that the amusement this afternoon has given me a lot of points. After walking out of Makoto's house, Makoto sent Zhaojian all the way to the gate of the Uchiha clan. The way home is the same as when I came here, there are also some people's pointers. But Zhaojian didn't care, as long as he didn't deliberately come up to trouble himself. Right, Makoto. Looking at Makoto, who was shy and buried next to him, Zhaojian hesitated, and then asked, I have made the Uchiha clan look bad, don't you hate me? If this sentence were asked at noon, it would reduce Zhaojian's impression points. But at this time the two have gotten acquainted with each other and called each other by name. Therefore, when Zhaojian asks it at this time, it will not appear abrupt and will not drop points. No. They provoked you after all. As if knowing Zhaojian's scruples, Makoto's voice was very soft, but he answered very seriously. Today I chatted with Zhaojian for an afternoon, and Makoto felt that Zhaojian was not an arrogant person. So she believes in her own inner thoughts even more. This incident is caused by Uchiha Rongguang and others. Ha, that's good. Zhaojian breathed a sigh of relief after receiving Makoto's answer. After all, looking at the Uchiha clan who was pointing, he was quite worried that Makoto would be under pressure, which would cause the two to finally not be able to get together or something. But now it seems that I have been worrying too much. Then I'll go back first. When the two walked to the gate of the Uchiha clan, Zhaojian said goodbye to Makoto with a smile. But just after walking a few steps, he suddenly turned around and asked, by the way, can I still come to you tomorrow? But, okay. Makoto's heart was pounding and he answered with shame. How she didn't understand the meaning of Zhaojian's words, but she responded bravely. Then it's a deal. Zhaojian waved his hand and turned to leave again, but the smile on his face became brighter. Because of Makoto's answer this time, He basically agreed with the relationship between the two. I finally ended my career as a single dog. Standing in front of the gate of the Uchiha clan, Makoto watched Zhaojian's figure travel farther and farther, and finally disappeared at the corner. At this time, her pounding heart was completely relieved and recovered. Call. He opened his lips and let out a sigh of relief. Looking at the direction where Zhaojian disappeared again, Makoto returned home. Makoto, how do you feel about him? When Makoto returned home, the elder did not know when he would come back. The first time he saw Makoto, the elder smiled and asked. What about it? I don't know what grandpa you are talking about. Makoto's cheeks were covered with blush again. He picked up the rose that Zhaojian had given before, turned around lightly, and ran back to his room as if he had fled. Ha 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 ha. Seeing Makoto's behavior, the elder smiled with satisfaction. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.